To say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to our continuing coverage of the 2017 Superspeedway Cup Series Season 15 campaign on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live. Happy to be with you this evening as well from Lincoln, Alabama, as we roll into the All-Star Race special event as we put the championship battle on hold and head to Talladega for an exhibition tonight for bragging rights, and we're happy that you're spending your evening with us on LSRTV. As always, it's myself, Evan Pasoko, and Rachel Whiteford topside at the LSRTV booth. Downstairs tonight, Randy Chen is stepping in for Cisco Scaramouza, twisted and tweaking the dials, and bringing us to you this evening. And Rachel, we are in the middle of a great championship fight. We've been talking all season about different winners here, different winners there. Tonight, all of that takes a back seat to a little bit of fun for 80 laps.
Absolutely, yes, Evan, and we are back at the huge banks of Talladega Motor Speedway. What better place to hold the All-Star event? This place is absolutely massive. The racing, just as massive. And you know what? I've got a feeling tonight's going to be pretty crazy. This is bragging rights. This is honor. This is no points. These guys are going to go all out, and it's going to show.
We've gone 8 races in the regular season with 8 different winners, but again, the championship battle is on hold for the moment, and it will resume in 1 week's time when things get back underway once more, and we make our final trip in the regular season as well to Daytona Circa 07, round 10 of the championship, with us on the 6th of October, next Friday, right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. But tonight we take a little bit of a different format and a different approach to things over the course of the night, and we're happy you're with us for the All-Star Race. The All-Star Open has already taken place. It was a 38-lap event for the drivers who were not already locked into this one, and it was won by series rookie Michael Cozy Jr. in front of Harry Tiller, who came home in second. So the driver of the 77 machine claims that top final transfer spot in, and there's a couple of other provisionals we'll talk about in just a minute. But as we look forward to this 80-lap event, Rachel, we got to talk about the format in which this All-Star Race is going to take place under. It is 80 laps, but as all the races this season have had, a little bit of a twist with some stage racing. Tonight, we have 4 different segments, and each segment is going to be 20 laps in distance. We'll go lap 1 to 20, and then a caution, lap 21 to 40, and a caution, 41 to 60, and then 61 to 80. The twist is going to come at the end of segment number 3. At lap number 60, we're going to have a caution. And all of our stage winners, whether it's 3 different drivers or it could be just one, the stage winners from segments 1, 2, and 3 have an opportunity and a choice if they want to come down and pit when the pit road opens. Everybody else, non-winners, will not be allowed to pit, and when this comes through, we'll make sure to remind you for the rules for this event. But nobody else is going to be allowed to pit. The guys up front who have won the stages can. The next time around, everybody who hasn't won a stage must come down pit road and take fuel. Therefore, if you win stage number 1, you should have ample opportunity, regardless of if you stay out or if you do want to pit for that 20-lap shootout, to be at the front. So that's the incentive for being aggressive early.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic one, and this format's just going to encourage the racing to be a lot harder, Evan. These guys, they know when the cautions are going to come out. They know when these segments end. We're going to see some crazy action tonight, and hey, 1 caution during one of these segments, that reduces your amount of laps by nearly a quarter.
Yeah, you take a big chunk out of a 20-lap run, and something also that we're going to have to keep an eye on, and we've seen it a couple of times in the regular season, is that if a yellow were to come out a little bit shy of stage end, again, even though a caution flag at lap 18 may effectively end the opening segment, as they're being called tonight, the leader at lap 18 doesn't win the segment. It's whoever's in front at the start finish line at the completion of lap number 20. So you might have to make a decision. Do I want to pit now? Points aren't on the line, and I think that was the really big focus on when we saw that just last week at the end of our opening 50-lap stage. But tonight, I think that without anything on the line, strictly bragging rights up for grabs, and still with us yet to see a repeat winner, even if you count some of the non-points and points-paying events this season, it should be fun. But again, this All-Star Race doesn't do much besides lock you into the All-Star Race for years and seasons to come. But I think that at most events, it is probably close up to the top with some of the main events like the Draft Chart 300, the Stars Fell in Alabama 250, some of those other crown jewel events as far as bragging rights and ones that these guys want to lock up.
Yeah, exactly. And this one, you know, it's coming in the middle of one of our most competitive seasons to date, Evan. That's a huge thing for us. We've had no repeat winners this season. It's been absolutely amazing. And honestly, this is just going to be the sort of race where we see these guys doing exactly the same thing. It's not going to stop. These guys are not really going to fall back in any sort of position where we see them being conservative. It's going to be all-out warfare on this track. And we've got some names here that haven't been around all this season, really. Jason Altmans, who's a winner, but isn't in the top 13 points. He needs to get on track during points events, not just these ones, but always a threat for a race win. Mark Jorgensen Jr., huge contender, of course. We've got the likes of Shane McEachin, Chris Bassini, Rodney Warford, Seth DeMerchant. These guys are always big hitters.
And unlike most of the times when we join in and the drivers are wrapping up a qualifying session, there is no on-track qualifying by laps. The field for tonight's all-star main event is set by performances over the course of the season. So with that being said, we go trackside and take a look at tonight's LSRTV starting grid for the Season 15 All-Star Invitational from Talladega. Pole position tonight going to go to Brandon Chiburko, courtesy of the fact that he has 5 wins. He's a past champion and a past All-Star winner. It puts the 12 tonight forward up on the front of the field, and he will be joined by the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Rodney Warford, Chris Bassini going to make up row number 2. They start in 3rd and 4th respectively, with the fastest driver in the warm-up, Jason Altmans, rolling from P5.
P number 6 tonight will be Shane McEachin, also a past multiple-time winner. We've got Seth DeMerchant in 7th place, so Andrew Berger in 8th. Red Flag Series Administrator in the 9th spot, and Frank Bassini the 3rd, rounding out your top 10.
Brandon Cruz Montevice, another one of the drivers in this event that was able to qualify his way in the last little bit with the open. He will start from 11th position, and Jimmy Coleman going to be alongside with him in 12th. Victor Bartlett gets the unlucky number 13 starting spot tonight for the 42, and then you find your all-star open winner, Michael Cozy Jr. leads off the provisional entries tonight for the open in 14th position. Harry Tiller's P2 earlier tonight, good enough for 15th on the grid.
16th place, Paul Servant with Daniel Holloway behind him. Tommy Hall with Andy Kessler, LSRTV's own, back there in the 19th spot. Travis Brown, Spencer Breet, and Justin Levine bringing up 22nd and last in our field.
It is a look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. Again, we go racing for 80 laps at this Talladega Superspeedway racetrack that clocks in at 2.666 miles in length by the end of the evening. 80 laps on the board is going to be a little bit shorter than I think the average amount of laps that we've gotten in this season at this racetrack under the brand new timed format for season 15. It's not that far off, but it is noteworthy that it is a little bit shorter of an evening, and unlike most weeks where we know that we will have at least one guaranteed caution flying at a break tonight, because we have 4 stages, at least 3 guaranteed yellows.
Absolutely, and these guys know exactly when those are going to come out, so they're going to be extra aggressive before that. And we know this is underneath a fuel stop, so we're never really going to see you guys coming in for fuel, apart from mandatory pit stops, which will have to happen. I don't see a lot of people pitting unless, you know, we reach one of those stages. If we have a caution during it, no one's going to come, I think.
And the big thing that we also note when we're talking about our 50-lap stages in regular season is you can't make 50 on even one trip down to the pit lane. It's really tight on fuel. Everybody should, in theory, be able to get through these 20-lap segments with the fuel they have on board. Cautions in between, though, could mix things up if somebody wants to make a strategy play. Nonetheless, as the pace car dives down to the safety of the pit lane, we're happy to have you with us tonight on LSR TV and iRacing Live. Field in the hands of the series' most all-time winning driver as Brandon Chiburko looks for another all-star race victory. He'll lead us to American Ethanol green flag, and we are racing from Talladega. Segment 1 gets underway.
Does indeed a big jump there by Chiburko early on. And Evan, one of the things that I've learned from Superspeedway racing is you do not want to get a great start. You really do not want to get a great start. In a lot of cases, it means people get that draft or pull up to you and they will just go straight round you. Rodney Wofford, look at this, coming up behind Chaburko, and out he comes straight away. Had the big run because he had the gap to Chaburko, blocking already there from Brandon Chaburko, but he gets past no problem at all. In fact, he'll take Jorgensen Jr. with him. And that's exactly the folly I was talking about. This is why you don't do that. You try and get as slow a start as possible. Bring everyone with you. Keep them close. That way, they can't get that run on you and pass you. 2 cars past him inside of a lap.
Hey, you really don't want a bad restart, but you want that guy on your bumper without the push, especially if you're leading a line. There's no suck up to the cars in front of you. You got no drafting help, and these cars, this setup is not particularly inclined to allow that 2x2 old school tandem style racing from a couple of years back, but that's exactly what you saw with the 70 and the 88 machine, and because of that, Wofford and Jorgensen out in front early, and Brandon Chaburko, I'm sure, going to make a play for the race lead here, was thinking about going high as Jorgensen elected to take that spot. He then had to back out of it, and now the 88 leads up on that outside line of the racetrack. The 28 machine is going to be the one pushing him, and Shade McKeach in there as that outside tries to keep going.
I'm not sure what Chaburko did there, but he hasn't passed anyone yet, but that's a borderline move there in terms of going underneath the yellow line, and look at this 3 wide racing already. Pretty crazy stuff. Jorgensen Jr. leading the pack top to bottom. Look, 28 there coming in as well. That is Shane McKeach behind them. 31, Chris Bassini getting in this one as well. This one is all action-packed tonight. I'm not really used to seeing Chaburko as a 12 rather than 22. At least the paint schemes are familiar.
And something else I noticed when I was watching the Open earlier is if you look back at the 22, that's Harry Tiller tonight, and it looks like Brandon Chaburko's paint scheme. You can tell the difference, though, because it's got his face on the hood and, of course, the rookie stripes on the back bumper. So those two have had a couple of infamous encounters so far on Season 15. We'll see if they duke it out tonight in the All-Star race as well. But it was a good start for basically everybody, top to bottom. Lead pack, top 20, within 1.3 seconds of each other as battling for the race lead continues. Jorgensen followed by Wofford and Chaburko clear on the inside by a couple of car lengths. Now both second and third go high. Chaburko, though, shows no intentions for a second time of going high but not leading that line. First when the 88 went up, and now when the 7 goes up, Chaburko, if he's going topside, he wants to be in front.
He does indeed. He's one of those guys as well that he will get in the middle of a pack and he will cause a ruckus. He's doing that just now. He's moving around, he's finding places, he's going wherever he needs to go to get this done. He will always be a threat in a race when he's at the front, especially like this. He feels a little robbed after that start, and he wants to get that back, so expect him to go up in front of the 7 now and try and get past this 88, but he doesn't want to really lose the spot back there to Altman's in the 51. That would be a very costly mistake. Oh, problems!
Oh, and the 51 trying to hang on!
Oh my gosh! That's amazing! A big save as Cassini drops it.
Oh, now they go with the 42. They lasted so long, but Victor Bartlett back up in front of traffic, and a caution flag will fly at lap number 5. It went on for so long, and you were just waiting for that car to snap up top too many times. And a 51 machine did a good job of hanging on to it, but then eventually too many drivers got together trying to avoid the mess. I think that 31 of Passini moved up trying to avoid the 51 and got the 24 in the door, and that took about 6-7 cars with him after they all got collected.
Yeah, and Brandon Chaburko just spun out on the backstretch, lost it by wiggling the car coming out of turn 2 and narrowly avoided the inside wall. That would have been incredibly embarrassing, but that was probably the longest crash I've ever seen. That was, they were crashing for what seems to be the entire front stretch. Woo NASCAR.
And it went all the way from turn 4. I mean, and I thought he saved it, and it always happens like this. You see somebody who should absolutely not save a car. Just no hope. And you're bouncing off of people, and you're cutting high, and you're cutting low in the middle of the cars doing about 200 miles an hour, and it's just not going to happen. You can't save it. And then they do save it, and it's a miracle. But the problem is the only reason they saved it is because everybody else was wrecking to get out of that guy's way. And we've seen that a couple of times over the course of this series. It's in part nature of Superspeedway racing in its fabric, but things really weren't out of control all that much. We were 2x2, and then all of a sudden you get one driver out of shape, and when you get 4 wide like that trying to avoid somebody, it doesn't normally end well. But for being early on in this race, I can't really chalk that one up to be an overdrive it at the moment of the caution. I think it's just you get somebody out of shape, and stuff like that will happen from time to time.
Yeah, it certainly will. And, well, it's going to be interesting what actually results from this one, because a lot of guys have already had their car damaged, so there could be some people now concerning later in the race. There's a lot of racing to go here, and lap 6, this will take us about lap 10 or 11, probably 10, 4 laps, because we have no lap down cars, so we started with half the first stint to go, really, and well, a couple of guys have been heading down pit road for repairs, which means that people might be thinking of staying out during their first caution.
I'm surprised that leaders are coming down, because you can go the 20 laps without having to pit. The idea might be to be able to stretch a little bit further after the stage, not pit at the stage break, but at least the majority of your leaders are in the 54. First driver to stay out, but Jorgensen is going to head into the box. He's going to go with right side tires, and looks like they will decide to go with 4 tires at a fuel for at least the majority of the front runners. There are drivers on 2, though, winning the race off of pit road. Frank Basilia, Andrew Berger, 1 and 2 off.
They certainly are, but the 54 of Brandon Cruz Vice and the 10 of Rod Flag in his Pontiac Grand Prix going to stay out there on the racetrack, and they will take the first and second spots for this one. So a tactical call by those guys, knowing they will have a caution 10 laps after they go back to green. So staying out now ain't a bad call.
And something else to note is that a little bit of a change in the settings for this race. If you notice up front, the lights on top of the pace car have already gone out. The race is technically running on single file restarts, which at the iRacing service takes a good number of laps out of the caution to flag cycle and the routine, especially because as well there were no lap down cars, so pit road only had to open 1 time that time by. So lights are already out on top of the pace car. They still will be lining themselves up 2 by 2, but that's just the technical explanation as to how we're going to be able to get away with these very short caution breaks over the course of the night.
Yeah, and well, this race is definitely getting off to a interesting start so far. That incident, though, that was a wild one. Little taps left and right. These guys have been rubbing on each other hard for the first bunch of laps here, and honestly, to see this only happen now, I was impressed. But I want to look back at something that happened before this accident, Evan, if we can. We had a bit of a moment where Brandon Chaburko, he went to pass the 7 of Watford under the yellow line on the backstretch. I mean, he clearly went down there knowing he was going down there, and kind of forced his way back up. Now, he didn't pass anybody. The rule is, of course, you can't pass and make positions under the yellow line, but does going under it to force your way back up alongside someone count as the same thing?
It's an unconventional move, and I think that for those who are familiar with the drive of the 12, I would hug that yellow line a little bit tighter as it continues to go on. But just a little bit of a shy halfway point in the opening segment, and the yellow was just 2 laps ago, but we're ready to go back into green flag conditions. 7 laps going to be complete as Brandon Cruz Devices out in front, but he could not get going. He got a tap. Looked like that was the 57 of the Merchant, got into the back of him, trying to help him get off of the line, but it hurt the 54. It's going to cost him the race lead.
Only 1 spot, though. It's not the worst situation that could have happened to him, as he's a bit on the yellow line there, so a little wobbly. But gets it running. Oh, he's going to force his way underneath the 10. Oh, he's not. I'm not sure what he's trying to do there, but 10 left, a football field of gap underneath him, so not a good idea there from Rod Flag, but look at who's stuck up on the outside. The 94 car of Basilia III can't go anywhere, so he's going to be downside. 57 and the 24 there. That's the Merchant, Andrew Berger behind your 2 front runners. Those are the first of our pitters. Those are guys who took 2 tyres, Evan, and we'll see how that works for them, but I'm not really sure tyres matter in 20 laps.
Well, it did surprise me that, the likes of Chaburko and some of the other guys who tend to fly by the seat of their pants as we see a challenge for the race lead now. The 54 wants it back and goes topside, but Chaburko even went with 4 tires, so there must be some logic in it. We've seen it a lot in the recent weeks, and the 54 doing it fine without him. He'll clear for the race lead, not going down, though. I think he really wants to bring the 57 to set the Merchant with him. It's not going to happen, though, this time. Down the Alabama gang back straight away. So if he wants to get to the inside, he's going to have to abandon the 57. If not, Rod Flag may be able to creep back up along the inside, although the 24 Berger cannot get to his bumper, and maybe that gives those guys topside another chance to get both cars through. And it looks like this time at turn number 4 they will, and all that effort pays off now. The 54 and the 57 are first and second.
Oh, problems. Basilia III, big hit to the outside wall. Another car wobbling on the front straight on their own there without help. wobbles his way till he oscillates all the way up to the top wall and smacks into the outside wall. No caution though, because it's on his own, as the replay shows you there exactly that happening to Basilia. Again, just gets a wiggle on his own and just ends up going up into the outside wall. Kept it straight though, so we do stay green.
The Season 6 Series champion with that aggressive move in the tri-oval got him loose into the outside wall. No caution and we stay green. Race Control does, as per series rules, have the opportunity to throw a manual caution if an accident is on the racetrack. That does not automatically trigger a yellow from the service. That is if it involves 3 or more vehicles. That one did not. So race is going to stay under green flying conditions as we continue on without problem. And now Shane McKeechan is out in the grass at a Haviland Ford.
Yeah, Shane McKeechan, problems there. There's another car with, Shane McKeechan just, again, lost it on his own there and ends up going down and across pit road into the grass.
Was he trying to pit? Because if he was, it was nowhere close. But it looked like he just turned it left and locked up. Did he have a penalty that he wasn't aware of or something? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think he just lost the back anchor off the corner. It happens sometimes.
He ends up in a pit lane. It is going to be a penalty for unsafe pit entry. You're not supposed to enter through the grass in that tri-oval, so it's going to be a penalty in addition to obviously pitted by himself, and he may lose the lead lap at all of this by the time it's said and done because he's still sitting in the box serving his penalty. Basilia is limping what's left of his McDonald's entry back to the pit lane, and just like that, 2 top 10 cars gone without a yellow flag in the middle portion of segment 1.
Yeah, and that's going to change the flow of this whole race, honestly, as 57 there starts moving and he kind of loses his spot on the bottom stretch there as he wanted to go back down again. Realized he couldn't do it and he might drop that down now. He should have room, but it's closing. He'll stay with the 54 and the 88. Up there on the higher side, see what they can do with this as they do start to get some good acceleration into turn 3. But 88 is not too hooked up, but he's going to drop down and say, no, I'm going to play on the high side. I'm going to stay down here on the low and wait for my time.
You can see everybody trying to stick a nose out to get some air to the front of those cars. The 24 and the 7 jumping out from behind Rod Flag and instead of the tri-oval trying to get clean air, trying to not blow up. We've seen engine temps as well be quite testy over the last couple of weeks with their new iRacing build, and it is a hot one today from Talladega. You saw it when we came out of the air. It's 85 degrees out, but 112 down on the racetrack. That could kind of play into the tire scenario as we go 3 wide for the race lead. Seth the Merchant wants to lone wolf it up top.
He does, but look who's going to join him. 31 of Pacini gets up there to help us. Monster Vice will get to the front. Nicely done there with the help of Jorgensen Jr. Going to drop down as it's 3 wide, 2 rows deep there in your lead group of about 10 cars. And they're getting wiggly again. 42 gets a bit of a hit. I thought he was going to start wobbling and go all over again, but everyone holds it together there. 42 nearly with some big problems, but he's holding on for now.
And you can tell that these cars just aren't handling good. I don't think it helps when you're 3 wide at about 2 cars of real estate. See where the 42 is right now? Left side tires on that white line. That's basically where that 3rd car was when it came to turn number 4. But really in the tri-oval, you can see the cars, and right there at a turn 2, sliding side to side, just really struggling with the handling. So maybe tires going to be more important than previously thought. The race lead, though, the 01 is not going to be clear, and Travis Brown cannot come down. Victor Bartlett will slide down. He'll take over the top spot on that outside line of the racetrack as he comes nose to nose with Brandon Cruz Monsivice, who has used this staying out strategy already this year to get himself a win and get himself in a pit position as the 57 now getting a little bit loose. He hangs on about 4 wide trying to get around him.
This is crazy stuff happening here. Chaburko's weaving around and wiggling his head off here. You know what, Evan? I think we've seen most races this season at Talladega have been pretty cool. They've been around the 72, 69 degree sort of temperature range. This is the hottest it's been when we've raced at Talladega, and I think this setup just is not so good in the hot. I think it's pretty slick out there. Oh, as Chaburko gets turned!
He's off to the inside. Oh, but more problems up top.
Big problems there as Brandon Chaburko. I would need to see what happened to him, but I think he narrowly escaped major carnage. He did. Somehow Chaburko spins through the grass, back up on the racetrack, avoids all the crashing cars, and stays out of the wall. Absolute luck of the gods for Chaburko, but not so much for the cars, as I think this is so slick. These cars are on the knife edge, Evan.
It looks like down the back, Chaburko just wasn't clear. The 14's on his inside, and the 12 just cuts right across the nose, trying to make a move from that top to the bottom of the racetrack into the corner. And I was looking down at that 12 in the grass, hoping that he wouldn't slide through the grass back up into traffic, but it was actually Levine who got chopped off, who got sideways, and then got turned around after he tagged the 51, and that's why I'm following Chaburko, and all of a sudden he comes up okay, and there's smoke and cars turning everywhere. Another large accident for the second time in segment 1, this one down at the other end of the racetrack in 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think these cars are super slick, Evan, at the moment. This is really causing some problems for them. I think tyres, you're right, are going to be huge, but honestly, at this point, I'm thinking, you take some rights, you keep this car turning, but you get those left sides, get them a bit older. You want to keep them all because it means they'll be a little bit less slippery. That way you got a car that's a little bit more rigid, perhaps, it might balance the setup.
The pit lanes get open this time. Obviously, all of the drivers with damage are going to come down to the pit lane. Under typical circumstances, this may have even ended the opening segment of this race. However, it looks like with the lights still on top of the race car, they may go out this time by. If not, though, because we do have drivers one lap down, they might stay on for one extra time around. Bartlett was thinking about coming down pit road, and it looks like the minority is actually going to be those who stay out. Bartlett, Flag, Monsivice, and Passini from the top 10 stay out. Most everybody else coming down pit road. Obviously a play to be in a good position for segment 2, but I think if you want to race for the segment 1 win, staying out was the call you had to make.
I think it was, to be honest, and right now this is going to be a real shake-up for the run to the end of this one, although I think the end of the segment might well be forced on the situation as Chaburko wiggles his way out of pit road. He can't seem to keep that car in a straight line, but Victor Bartlett out front at the moment in that 42 car behind the pace car. Could this be his segment?
And just trying to find the first cars off of pit road. I saw the 57 was really burning rubber, and I believe Demerchant might have won a race off of pit road, but the 24 was first in and out, and Andrew Berger came down for fuel only. Maybe again trying to allow him to maybe stretch this with the help of another yellow or two to the end of segment 2, get himself into a position, because again, the segment wins so important under this all-star format. The winners of segments 1, 2, and 3 have the choice between pitting or staying out, and a caution flag at the end of segment number 3 with 20 laps to go in this race. Everybody else will have to wait to go one more time around the track, and then will be forced to pit. So there's no reason why your segment winners don't restart segment 4 and to the race to the end of this thing in first, second, and third position. So sometimes something like that might be worth a gamble like this.
Very much so, and wow, I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing plays, because honestly, I don't know how many cars we're going to have left, Evan, by half time, never mind by the end of the race. These guys are getting frisky very, very early.
15 drivers scored on the lead lap as they run right now, 5th through 15th. Looked like the total number of drivers who did decide to pit at minimum, so the number might end up only being at 4 drivers who stayed out. Again, some drivers fuel only. Obviously, winning the race off of the pit lane takes a lot less time than when you come down to the pit lane and decide to go with fuel and tires as well. But it is going to be Bartlett up front, no doubt. The 42 machine making his return to the Superspeedway Cup Series, a Season 4 champion. You're talking about 3-4 years ago with that title, but the 42 back with us for this Season 15 campaign. And the lights do now go out on top of the pace car, so it is going to be a 2-lap dash if they make it those 2 laps to the end of segment number 1. And the first driver going to have their opportunity to get up front come the end of this thing if they're able to get the win. And I guess what ends up being the green and white checkered flag at the end of lap 20.
Well, we're going to have to see exactly what will happen from that, because 2 laps, these guys, it's going to be frantic.
Everybody doubling up. Looks like Flag on the outside of row 2. Monsivice is the real person who's taking the biggest gamble in this. Flag caught up too from a little bit for the back of the pack, but Monsivice was the first driver who stayed out at the first caution flag in this segment, and he assumed the race lead. Did lose some time from that. We talked about the little bit of a bad restart that the 54 got a little bit loose after a tap from Demerchant on the back end, and So he stayed out, obviously, for both caution flag, so as the 42, the 10, and I think the 31 of Piscini did as well. But it is going to be popsicle sticks in the air this time by, and it is not like the end of the race. The end of a segment is not like the end of the race. So we don't get to one lap to go and have an opportunity regardless if people start wrecking to race it out. We could get a caution flag merely 500 feet from the start-finish line, and that's going to be the scoring positions for the end of the segment. So keep that in mind this time by. 2 laps to go until the guaranteed caution for the end of the segment. It could come earlier, depending on just how rowdy the 17 lead lap cars get.
Ready to go back to green this time by. It's going to be a very, very short sprint and probably ferocious. I wouldn't be surprised if we end this one under an actual yellow, Evan.
His car drops down to the safety of pit road. Let's see if Victor Bartlett can snatch this one after starting quite deep back in the packet, but I always dubbed the unlucky to be 13 starting position to the inside of row 7. This time, he's on the inside of the front row from Talladega Superspeedway. Here we go. 2 more times around for the end of segment number 1. It's the All-Star Race at Dega. Green flag back in the air.
And it's 3 wide already there as the 24 of Berger gets underneath Sponsor of Ice. You've got another bad start again. Up the top side, moving much faster there. He's in a hole in the middle. Oh, that's not a great place to be. 3 wide behind him as well. A 14, the 01 and 51 as well. As Monster of Ice gets a little bit loose there on the middle line. He wants some breathing room right now. These guys did not giving him any room whatsoever. It's 3 wide in 2 lanes here at Talladega, and it's all to play for.
Yeah, the 88 machine was trying to stay behind Flag and that 31 of Piscini up on the outside, except the problem is that was too wide. So the 54 and the 88 were kind of sharing that lane. Monsivice almost became a ping pong ball. He was bouncing off of him inside and outside, inside and outside. They were able to hang on as that middle worked for the moment. This time by, now just 1 lap left to go in this segment. The 42 leads it by a car length.
He does, and will that last? That's going to be the question, because right now on the outside you've got the 10, the 31, and the 54. Although 54 does drop down to 10. But Flag going to be going for this one, trying to charge his way forwards, but Bartlett's looking strong. This could be a heroic run from him to take the first segment of this way. The dropping back on the outside, there's problems, and round goes the 51. Shouldn't be a too big a deal, though. He stays off the racetrack. Jason Altman's down on the inside. He has hit the guardrail, so big problems for him. Engine destroyed. He could well be out of this one, but look at this one. 24 coming strong in the last seconds.
Battle for the race lead. The 24 looked high on the back straightaway, and he's going to have, I think, a clear run to the start-finish line. The 42 trying to come back. He's going to make it a fight still, side by side, and wrecking at the end of the stage. The 24 survives as many behind crash. All that matters is that Andrew Berger was out in front of it all, and he will take the win in segment number 1. A lot of drivers wrecking, trying to dig for that top spot. In reality, second on back doesn't mean anything in a stage.
That was absolutely crazy as the caution flag does fly, as pretty much everyone is destroyed there. This is going to be one of those races. I wonder how many these guys will actually finish now at this sort of stage, rats, because no one is getting through this one cleanly.
Take a second look at that one. It was all orderly. I thought the 24 basically had it because there wasn't a big push for the 42 machine, but Monsivice really got going once he came at a turn number 4, and all of a sudden they're starting to rub on each other in the battle for the stage win, and next thing you know, it gets out of control. And even if that was for a regular race stage, I think it would have been okay. The problem in all of that is, again, the only person who gets that bid to the front of the field come the final 20-lap dash to the end is the 24 machine. A bunch of guys just wrecked for nothing.
Yeah, this racing's starting to get pretty wild, and I mean, Evan, under what I assume, these guys still only have 1 backup car, am I right?
Yeah, I believe it's just as it is in regular season, 1 quick repair, so that's hurting a lot of guys early for 3 incidents.
This really is. There's got to be a couple of guys here who are out of things. Tommy Hall, I think, will probably be out of this. He's got 6 laps down and his car's destroyed. I think he's going to be done with this one. Daniel Holloway, he's looking okay for now. Coleman, Kessler, and of course Savant, they're looking okay, but there's a number of cars here who Oh, Chaburko. This is his first probably replacement of a vehicle, but he's now only have one, and he's not exactly immune from being involved in big crashes.
I believe pit road was not open the last time by, simply because your race leaders had yet to group up behind the pace car, so the pit lane should open the next time by. So with the end of segment number 1, we'll take a quick opportunity to step aside, and when we come back to Talladega, we get set for the next 20-lap sprint. You're watching the Superspeedway Cup Series All-Star Race at LSRTV at iRacing Live. We'll be back to Talladega Superspeedway in just a moment.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
Back live from the Talladega Superspeedway, lights out on top of the iRacing.com official pace car. Segment 1 complete in the Superspeedway Cup Series All-Star Invitational for Season 15. We're happy that you're with us tonight at LSRTV, your home for sim racing. The 24 machine of Andrew Berger taking home the checkered flag. He will have an opportunity to start this race's final 20 laps in segment number 4 from the front. In a little bit's time, still have an opportunity for at least 2 more drivers to take home a segment win, and segment number 2 gets underway now, Rachel. And because of the timing of the caution flag and all that, we start segment 2, I should say, with 24 laps complete, meaning that it ends up at 16 laps in distance.
Does indeed. So it's going to be very interesting to see these guys can manage 16 laps without having more cautions. You know what? I think we're going to see more. This is just going to be a mad race, and we're going to start seeing cars dropping from this point onwards. We've got a lot of guys on their backup cars, so big crashes. We start to lose contenders.
And just to update on what we were talking about before we stepped away, special rules actually in effect for tonight's All-Star race, meaning that unlimited resets are available for the drivers, so those who are involved in accidents can get back out there and keep going. And I believe at the moment, subsequently, makes sense, no retirees so far. 21 drivers on the lead lap. Only driver off of the lead lap is Tommy Hall, who's had a rough go at it early. If he sticks with it, though, gets a couple more yellows, should be able to get back to the lead lap. He runs 3 laps down in 22nd. Other than that, the likes of Servant, Holloway, Basilia, and Preet getting waved by under the segment end, all able to join back up to the lead group. So we'll see how they navigate this one. Is the 24 going to be aggressive, or is he going to hang back because he's already got a segment win? And what happens up front as everybody trickled down to the pit lane as we had stepped aside? We're going to go back and away, and somebody is out of line. It's McKeechan for a second time tonight.
It is, and he goes back up the track nearly in front of several cars there, but everything gets going good at the front as 57 of Merchant gets going really well there. 77 of Cozy Jr. on the high side with the car there of Victor Bartlett. Not quite as good as we got the replay there of the 28 going crazy. Possibly some sort of technical malfunction with the car, so, well, sucks to be him. But up front, it's still going to be Merchant. The low side looking a little stronger right now. Chaburko and also Piscini getting on the back of him as, once again, Chaburko abandons all hopes of friendship and chooses a different line.
Take a look at it. Showed that McKeechan got tagged on the restart, spun off to the inside, courtesy of the 50. Opens, and now up front we got big problems. Michael Cozy Jr. hard into the outside wall. The All-Star Open winner is junked.
Well, that was bizarre. So we're going to go back and look at what happened with him, but I think he got tagged by the 40. Yeah, he got tipped by the 42. Bartlett just hooked his bumper. Up he goes, and well, where he stops, nobody knows. Unfortunately, he ended up hitting a couple of cars, and I think Tiller might be done for the race now, as may 1 or 2 others.
It's a hard hit. He just got sideways. We've talked all season long about pushing in the corner, and this one wasn't even like most, in which the car starts to spin down top to bottom, and it's the overcorrect that snaps the car back up the hill. On that one, the 77 just got hooked high, and literally nothing that Cozy could have done. And then unfortunately, Tiller's 22 machine was right there, and you saw that on a second look, tagged him, and you end up collecting a couple of extra cars into the mix there, and they're all going to limp down to the pit lane. The drivers with damage bad enough to the point where they will decide to just take the penalty for pitting it before pit lane opens in order to be able to not get stranded there out on the racetrack. Tiller was in that time to get a quick repair. Cozy is going to get a quick repair as well once he serves out the time for the tow that he took in 3 and 4. So those immediately affected coming down pit road. If you got any minor damage, pit road should be open for you this time by, if you do want to come down and get any of that fixed. The 57 looked like he was thinking about coming down pit road below the double yellow, decided not to. First driver in, Jorgensen from P6, might have been one of the only ones.
That was a fake from the 57. He wasn't going to come down pit road, not from that position at least. But honestly, if you got a little bit of damage on your car, I'd go down pit road a couple of times. I'd fix that as much as you can, run in the back as long as you need to, because late in the race, having a backup car might be the way you win this thing, because I don't think we're going to have too many clean cars left.
And the 88 machine again with the unlimited resets. No reason for him not to come down and get it fixed. He may have just gotten clipped, I think, on the right-hand side when Cozy's car came back down the racetrack. And it could have been something that he noticed. It could have been very minor damage that maybe somebody around him said, hey, the right side of the race car is torn up. But I would argue that, you know, if we have a restart still due up with more than 10 laps to go in a segment, which would give you, I think, ample opportunity to still fight your way back up to the front and get right back in this thing, that there's absolutely no reason for you not to come down pit road and go to quick repair, get that car fixed back up, and probably restarting in, looks like he'll be about 12th with a brand spanking new clean race car. Would probably put him at a better chance of winning the stage than restarting 9th with a damaged car. So I think it's not a terrible call. And after he pitted, first couple of guys behind stayed out, but most everybody in the final third of this, 14th on the back, also decided to come down to the pit lane, top off on fuel and tires. They weren't able to under the end of segment number 1 yellow because they were getting waved by.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, getting a brand new car now might be the worst decision you make because you end up with a wrecked car before the end of the race. And what's more important, the stage or the race win? I mean, I know it's for bragging rights, but I think the race win is the biggest bragging rights in this one. Nobody remembers the stage winners. You only remember the race winner.
Driver still laps down. Cozy's lapped down because of his involvement in that one, as well as Travis Brown, so 2 rookies struggling in the ladder going here. And then Tommy Hall is 20th, 1 lap down. I believe he might be back on the lead lap. I noted that he was 3 laps down when segment number 2 got back underway, and it looks like he's going to be able to get all the way back to the lead lap on this one. So again, the All-Star race, beneficiaries, unlimited waiver rounds, unlimited resets. If you find yourself in a compromising position, you get the car fixed back up, you get way back around, and you get back at it once more. And I think that will keep us, unless somebody just gets frustrated and leaves, there's always a chance to get the car fixed, with the maximum penalty, I think, being a tow to the pit lane, which could range anywhere from a minute to 5 or so. But unless somebody got mad and left, should be able to race this thing out throughout with about 20 cars on the lead lap.
Certainly is, and wow, 20 cars on the lead lap is still plenty of room for carnage in this one. And look who's up near the front. Brandon Chaburko is still up there, still somehow causing this circle of doom around him. Doesn't have to be directly involved, but somehow whenever he's around a portion of the field, things go sideways, kind of literally in this series. So I don't know if he's projecting some sort of dirt field, but honestly, Chaburko is, everything happens around him. Everything.
Including 3 wide under the caution flag as the 15 of Jason Altman's stepped up a row to say hello. He is restarting in 6th position. He'll have the Tenorada flag down on the bottom of the racetrack. You see the 01 sneaking by top side Travis Brown, hoping to get back to the lead lap. There goes the 77 to Michael Cozy Jr. You got to hustle. Race leader is halfway down the back. If you want to be there for the restart, you got to get going.
Sunny is, of course, in time to get ready for that restart. This time by, we should think, and it's going to be a busy one. Demergent to Piscini in the front row, and Chaburko on that second row on the outside. Expect him to go high early and take this one 3 wide for the lead if he can. He will try and jump this.
The 57% Demergent in this race due to his 2 wins to lock him in automatically. He is also a past series champion in this Superspeedway Cup Series. In fact, he's a 2-time series champ. Taking it back in season number 10. That one was back under the Superspeedway banner, and then got it actually the first time we got back to the Superspeedway Cup Series branded back in season 12. So 3 seasons ago to the current one, and has an opportunity this season, just kind of talking about how the 57's been performing this year, to maybe go for a 3rd. He and Andrew Berger are the only multi-time champions in this series history, with Demergent's 2 and Berger's leading 4 championships. But the base car goes back down and in, and we keep the focus on All-Star Racing. Segment number 2, we complete lap number 28 on the race, but 12 laps to go in segment 2. And a race start is back off and away, and a 31 caught sleeping.
Look at that move by Brandon Chaburko. I don't even... we need to replay that restart, honestly, because look at that. They start going. He's already going. And Chaburko up and over and ahead by the start-finish line. He goes top to bottom, 3 wide to the lead. This is the Brandon Chaburko we know and love.
Oh, and he's going to put a block on the Merchant, and I thought it was going to wreck the 57. There they go. Bartlett's going to get tagged. And big mess down the back straight away as the 54 is involved.
I don't even know where to start. This is what happens. And honestly, the big defensive move there in front of Pacini and Bartlett, I'm not sure why he came up, but he did, and round he goes, and everyone hits everybody. Oh my gosh, that was insane.
And we'll follow the 12. I almost said 22 again. We're going to follow the 12 around from the start-finish line. Again, it was able to get up in front of the 57. And the way that the single file restarts work at iRacing is nobody can pass you on the bottom. So typically, when we're actually racing on a single file restart, everybody gets up against the fence. But we are technically going on 2x2 restarts tonight. That's why the leaders are on the bottom. So according to how the restart rules work by the book, you can pass somebody on the outside of the racetrack. 12 sagged the limit. The onboard shot there was the best for you. They got going. He went up to the top and cleared him. And then it was the 57 who tried to go to his inside. Did not work. I had thought they made contact. They did not, though. It was a reactionary move by the 57 to stay down. And then when he came back up, all of a sudden, Victor Bartlett, who was on the bottom, is in the middle. And he got squeezed up into Pacini. And eventually that led to the contact.
Yeah, that was, this race is turning into a I do not even know how to NASCAR. I mean, I've commentated this thing for a while now, and I've done my share of, you know, pit box work and spotting, and this is just nuts.
And it's going to slow down again the pace of segment number 2. Good news, in fact, for your race leader at the end of this thing, the 12 machine. More drivers deciding to come down to the pit lane. The pit strategy's really throwing me off, though, to be honest, because I can understand the fact that, you know, you have unlimited resets, and because of that, you can go as many times as you want. You don't think that that should be an excuse for wrecking as much as you want, but could be a conversation for a later date. But you don't have to pit to make it the 20 laps. So we constantly see folks coming down to the pit lane, unless they're only getting tires and fuel because they're down there to get a quick repair while they're at it. It seems like a lot of people are pitting. And the other idea is, okay, you pit with 10 laps to go in the segment, and then you skip the segment ending yellow, and you cycle through to the race lead to start segment 3. And we didn't really see that in between segments 1 or 2 either.
We just missed a fairly huge problem. I don't know why it happened, but under caution, side by side, door to door, 88 and the 10. The 10 just gets tipped around the front of the 88 and into the outside wall, destroys his engine, he's done.
And that's Rod Flag Series Administrator, which is, if there's anybody you want to get into, it would not be the 10. And 2 drivers were side by side, and they just got hooked, and Rod Flag got heavy damage. The good news for him, if any, although there's not really any good news when you wreck under a caution flag to begin with, but at the same time, it was right at the pit road entrance. So he was able to get it onto the pit lane and get the car fixed. So he's not even going to end up losing a lead lap in all of this, but...
Is this the twilight zone of NASCAR?
We have seen incidents, to be fair, under the yellow in the past, but I feel like it's almost exclusively involved either somebody gets wrecked and they retaliate, but I don't really consider that wrecking under the yellow. If somebody's headhunting somebody, someone's headhunting somebody. But I can recall a couple of instances, and it hasn't been for a while, where we've seen either like a mechanical issue or, you know, an issue where somebody loses a screen or something wrong with the wheel or the pedals, that they just turn right into the wall by themselves. I can remember maybe 1 or 2 times a couple years back where incidents with wave around cars. You saw Travis Brown and Cozy get waved by on the one to go at the last restart, and they took it nice and slow. We've seen a couple of times that went sideways, but I'm not sure I've ever seen just 2 drivers rub each other and wreck like that.
No, it's highly unusual, to be honest. It's it's definitely behaving very strangely in this race, and I think this is in part due to the weather. It is very hot, and I think this is basically making this race go this way. It's not what they wanted, of course, but I think this is unfortunately just making this thing very slippery and very tricky for these cars. I think the setup was perfectly dialed in for the lower temperatures, and right now, running slick, running hot, it really makes the cars very loose, and with this banking and with the amount of aero, I think it's our major thing here.
So we have the invert now of what we had the last time. Last restart came 8 laps complete in this segment and 12 laps to go. This time around, it's going to be vice versa. It is going to be 12 laps complete in the segment and 8 laps to go. So that's something that is noteworthy, and it means that if we were to see it of the yellow, I think there'd be enough time for one more in the segment. Of course, I would like to say let's race it out for the 8 laps to the end and our second green and white checkered flag on the evening, but that remains to be seen.
Absolutely, and someone just suggested in the chat that nobody will win this race and LSRTV will win. But I don't know about you, 3 hours away from now, it's plausible with the way things are going.
And again, a restart going to come with a complete field almost of 20 drivers on the lead lap. Only Jimmy Coleman in 21st and Victor Bartlett in 22nd, who's actually not currently on the racetrack, and he's done. So Victor Bartlett's night is over. The 42 machine, in fact, was up leading in the early segment. That it was the driver who got caught up in that accident down the back straightaway after DeMerchant came up and the 42 kind of got spooked by him. It's not DeMerchant's fault unless, you could say that at that point he just needs to get on the brakes and back it down, but he got forced below trying to come back up, and Bartlett got spooked, tried to move up, give him space, and the 31 was there, but Victor Bartlett is out of this race. He's the only retiree so far to this point, so 20 of the 21 cars still on the racetrack. Going to be on the lead lap for the restart. We've only gotten through 32 laps of this race entirely as we work continuing through segment number 2. Can Brandon Chaburko get this one? He's going to be out in front, so he doesn't have to go high to get around anybody. The 57 on the back bumper. Perfect coordination on the inside.
Great start there with Chaburko and DeMerchant really getting a good run off there. Piscini didn't get it as much as Altmans will abandon him and drop down. That's going to kill the run for the outside there. Now just at 31 of Piscini and the 88 of Junior. So unfortunately not going to go quite as well as he'd wanted, but 57 just checks up a little bit there onto the back of Altmans as the entire inside line just seems to really back down and check up. But look at the big run for the outside. I didn't think that was possible, but they're going to get a huge head of steam.
31's got a big run. The 88 going to follow him as well, but can they clear to turn number 3? No. Got about 2/3 of that Caterpillar Chevrolet in front of Chaburko, but that was about 1/3 too short, my basic math tells me, and they were not able to clear, but the 88 sticking with them. It is very tricky, and we saw with the incident down in turn number 1 with Cozy getting hooked up in the fence when you push in the corner. But the 88 Rashida Jorgensen Series veteran picks up 4 spots on that one lap and pushes Piscini to the race lead. Jorgensen, though, no intentions of following him down to the bottom. 57 of DeMerchant going to go bottom to top, work with him, and he's now going to challenge the driver he just helped get the race lead.
Certainly is here, and look at this. 88 is going to go forwards. 57 with him. That's a powerful combination, but 31 just lifting up a little bit to keep him a bit higher. Make him take a bit of a long way around the track and get some side draft back himself there as on his bumper comes Chaburko. Going to give him a big shove here as behind them. If you're kind of breaking up, we've got about the top 8 or so drivers there, maybe 10 drivers in this lead pack, and 2 wide is only 2 deep at the front.
You got the 28 back there as well, but he's not really in a committed side-by-side, kind of hanging out to the outside, but he's not on the driver or the passenger side of Servant. He's kind of trying to make the outside work, but I think that if he wants to drop down low, he will, and he is going to do so. So it's 5 on the inside and 2 on the outside in this lead pack coming out of turn 4. I've noticed that 88 and the 30 would really close every single time around. The 88 of Jorgensen really pinching Piscini, and the 31 not scared of him. He's not backing down to the yellow. In fact, he's meeting him halfway, and that was really tight down the back. And then the 31 drops right back down to the line off of the nose of the 12 of Chaburko, and they pull a big advantage. Chaburko wanting to look high, though, in the snap on Ford, and he commits to the outside now. We'll see if Jorgensen sticks with him. Looks like the 88 will.
It does for now as he really taps the car there of Piscini as they do this one, but 88 is going to push him and go for this one. Chaburko will drop him though. The second he thinks the gap will close below. So watch him to go all the way to the bottom like that. He does indeed. 88 on his own now. See, you help him. You don't win much from it, but he's going to pull up again and pull high all of a sudden. So I'm not sure what his goal is with this. He may be coming back to help the 88 car there, but right now. This is a bit of a mess. Up here, we've got 6 cars in this lead group here. Behind them, people dropping back a little. Maybe they're predicting this one's going to end in a wreck and they want some warning time.
Again, unlike when we raced the regular season to the end of a stage, the only spot that matters is first, and there goes Brandon Chaburko. Big problems up front, racing for the checkered flag with way too many laps to go in the segment.
Passini actually came up off the corner there, as we'll get you a replay. Passini comes up off the yellow, taps Jorgensen Jr. and Chaburko, but Chaburko hits the rear, gets him loose and taps him a second time, puts him in the wall. Chaburko's already lost an engine once. This will be him out of the race.
Chaburko in the 12 machine sideways and then snapped back up the hill, went quite for a rod. I think bounced off of the nose of the 28 machine. So for that group of drivers who had dropped back wanting some reaction time, there's not much that you can do about a race car in the air landing on your nose. I think McEachin more or less going to be able to avoid getting his car completely obliterated, and that would Brandon Chaburko. Again, the only silver lining is the wreck is right at the entry to the pit lane, so the 12 is going to be able to come down and pit, get one of his unlimited quick repairs, and get right back out there and into this race. But essentially taking him out of contention for the stage win. Is the point I was getting ready to make as they were coming out of 4 is just for how tight they were on each other, not only bumper to bumper and pushing, but also side by side, and that pinching that I was talking about. You had both cars on that replay, and when you saw it at turn number 4 in the overhead shot, I'll show it again right here, you got both lanes basically down within 1 lane of the racetrack. Typically, you're going to see racing like that towards the end, and yeah, we are coming to 4 laps to go in segment number 2, but if there's, and yeah, the bottom car did bobble up, but if you're on somebody's door like that, you're not helping your cause out either, because if he even has a minuscule mistake, a small push, like you saw that time, then you're right into the path of fire as well, and you get taken out too.
Yeah, certainly in this one, and well, this race is certainly changing. Brandon Chaburko, one of the biggest powerhouses at front of this one, is now out of the race. That's a fairly big change in this, as that was really kind of a faultless accident in that situation, but this has put us in a situation where he's now no longer involved, so that's going to make things very tricky. Nobody's guys going to head down pit road, and I think a lot of them are running out of ability to repair these cars, so you're going to see some very cobbled together race cars out on this track and trying to stay involved in this thing.
Pit road was open the last time by as the pace car picked everybody up nice and early, so I believe pit road was open that time by, and we did see the 88 of Jorgensen to come down to the pit lane from second. Again, an interesting call because we should have an opportunity to restart this segment. The lights on top of the pace car I anticipate to go out the next time by, which would mean it will be a 1-lap shootout, and race control on the radio confirming that, I believe. And again, with the quickie yellows, if you will, tonight means that we will have a 2.66 mile shootout to the end of stage number 2, segment 2 on tonight's All-Star. And I have to think, with it only being 1 lap, if you're the 50 Voltmans, just get a good restart. You should be fine, because it takes about a lap for these cars to get up to speed and that outside lane to come alive.
It really does, and Chaburko apparently has a new car, so Brandon Chaburko actually back out of the racetrack here. Or does he? I'm not absolutely... No, he does. He wow. Okay, so they have more than 1 backup car in this thing. Maybe it's 2 for this, actually, Evan, because we know Bartlett is out.
Yeah, Bartlett out, but unlimited resets again in this All-Star, so anybody who has an issue can get back going. There is the problem that obviously you get caught laps down and you're going to not be in the race for a couple of cycles of pit service. With a yellow flag comes out, you get caught a couple of laps down. It'll take you a few cycles around to obviously get those wave buys, but eventually, with persistence, you will be able to get back out there. Chaburko was 1 lap down, but I believe with the wave buy, not seeing it come up on the stat sheet, and there it is now. So Brandon Chaburko is going to be given that wave by, and he should be able to get back to the lead lap in order to restart this thing. I don't think a 21st place restarting position is going to be a spot that he wins the segment from, but at least back in this thing nonetheless.
Certainly are, and Jason Altman's out front is going to make things interesting. That guy's a tough racer, and he's trying to defend a position as Chaburko is going to get that lap back. Okay, so we had an issue there with Chaburko in the 28. McEachin was too high up, and he got tagged by Chubbs as Chubbs came back to basically go round and wave his lap back and smashes into the 28 to McEachin and plows him into the outside wall.
And I had noted that I had remembered seeing something like that when we were talking about incidents under the yellow. I had noted that I thought I might have remembered something like this from a couple of years back. And for the 28 machine, again, you should be single file until the white flag or the one to go and the lights are out on top of the pace car, because wave around cars should be high. And obviously, you have to think that the 12 machine at Chaburko should have seen that the car up top was there. Just taking a second look at it, Brandon Chaburko didn't help the issue because he made no attempt to stop or slow down past the field at 184 miles an hour. Probably wasn't the smartest of decisions either. So you kind of put a 50-50 on that one, but I think the ball's got to stop with McEachin. And even if it's an all-star race, and even if it's the end of a segment, you have to remain on the inside. Everybody else was on the bottom but him.
We'll have to see how this one goes when we get back under green flag conditions right now. DeMerchant and Altman's up front. It's going to be a good, potent combination. McEachin, he's apparently still okay. He's got a couple of dents, so that car can't pit. Obviously, pit road's closed, but he's going to drop speed very rapidly. Tiller's going to have to be watching out for that.
He might as well just stay there, though it is going to hurt Tiller, but he can't get to pit road because he's going to be on the outside for the restart, and then a caution's going to be coming out the next time by to end the segment anyhow. So the 28, I think you just got to kind of stick it out, try to get up and out of the way for this one lap to go restart to the end of segment number 2. It's also going to be the halfway point tonight from Talladega, but who joins Andrew Berger as a stage winner in tonight's Superspeedway Cup All-Star Invitational? Altman's arguably in the best position. DeMerchant joining him in the front row with Servant, McEachin, and Kessler inside of the top 5. Here they come out of the tri-oval. Green flag flies once more, and there's that 28 slow as Tiller goes high.
He has to go high very late there as he taps him almost as he's trying to block people getting past him. I don't think he realizes how damaged he is and how slow that car is now. Big problems for him as, wow, he really didn't know how slow he was. He's just dropped off like a stone.
And he's going to drop to the back with that heavy damage and stays high, lets everybody go on by. I think the 28 making a smart call there to not get in the way as we watch the battle for the end of segment number 2. Single file for the top 3 spots. DeMerchant looking high, looking low, and a small fake. The 51 sideways. What a save. And we are going to be side by side. Does Kessler make it 3 wide? No, they're going to wreck behind. They are not going to make it. Kessler up into the fence, and the 51 of Altman's in front at the car. Will win segment number 2.
He said he will. Replay there showing you what happened right back behind him in the pack with a 77 there. Cozy Jr. is, wow, 51 narrowly steals that one at the end there, but a crazy end segment 2.
It was 3 wide. I thought that Kessler had it made coming down the back into turn number 3 because the leaders were side by side, but they had no help. It was just them. And I thought that maybe if Kessler could go to the high side and bring somebody with him, he would be set. But that didn't happen because Chaburko and I believe it was the 22 artillery. They got those matching paint schemes. Was in the 3 wide scenario, and I think Kessler was trying to encourage him to, hey, come and push me. And they ended up just again squeezing 3 cars into 2 cars worth of real estate there. And Kessler squeezed that 22 a little bit too much. They got sideways and started wrecking, and the leader saw them wrecking too, Rachel, and there was about a 3-second window between when those cars started to spin and when the yellow flag actually came out, and then you had the 57 of DeMerchant and the 50 of Altman's actually door banging each other as if they were coming to a checkered flag to that caution, which effectively decided the winner of the stage, and the 51 was in front by about a tire.
He was, and it was very narrowly beaten there as this one will probably run the end of our stint. So I guess that would basically mean 51 is the only car here that can pit.
The 51 machine is going to win segment number 2. He's going to come down to the pit lane, and as you said, it gives him the opportunity to have that exclusive pit stall in the final 20 laps of this race. But we crossed the halfway point, so we'll take this opportunity to step aside, and when we come back, one more spot up front for the race to the end is available as we head to segment number 3 tonight from Talladega. You're watching the Superspeedway Cup Series at LSRTV and iRacing Live.
I sat in the car, you know, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low. You got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshields at steep angles. You can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Back live from Talladega, segment number 2 came to a close as we stepped aside. Jason Altman's joined Andrew Berger as the Stage 1 winners. One more spots available on the front row for the final run to the end. Before then, segment number 3 from lap 43, where we sit right now, through lap number 60. One final opportunity to pose yourself in a position to take the checkered flag later on tonight as we say green flag once more and back off and away. Berger, Stage 1 winner, right there on the front row, and a better jump for him than Preet to the inside, who was the control car. Not enough to clear him.
Not enough at all, but they're still going to stay 2 wide, 3 deep here on this restart for segment number 3 here. Preet and Berger behind them. Jorgensen Jr., Harry Tiller 14 car, Justin Levine and 3 of Paul Servant there. Behind them is Cozy Jr., Jason Altmans, Holloway, Pizzini, Brown. As we get this thing going once again, but Evan, it's been a crazy first half of this race, and maybe these guys are going to be a little bit more patient this time.
I'll look up synonyms for crazy and I'll get back to you, because it has been an interesting, crazy, whatever kind of way you want to describe it, opening a bit to this race. Again, just crossing the halfway point as of the end of that stage and already working deep into the night from Talladega. Challenge for the race lead going to go unexistent for the next couple times by. I think Spreet's actually in a pretty good position at the moment. If the 24 and the 22 get hooked up on the outside, Tiller could very well push to 24, but you see him dive down to the inside and abandon ship. I think now it goes down to the 88 and the 14 to maybe make a move on Preet. Again, the 72's a rookie, and we've been talking about how the rookies have been trying to integrate themselves into this season, the likes of Cozy as well, and tend to not get as much help from some of the veterans as the other veterans do. And with Spencer Preet out in front, basically at the mercy of the cars behind him, wouldn't be surprised if you see some guys trying to go high.
Yeah, certainly I can see that as well, but right now things are being pretty quiet, single file here. Probably the quietest we've seen it all race long. Everyone's taking a bit of a breather here, wanting to see what happens in this one, but Tiller gets forced it wide a little bit by the corner. Altmans isn't going to lay him back down again, so will anyone join him and try and make this thing a two-lane party? We'll have to see.
There goes the 88 to the outside of the racetrack, but the key is he needs Levine to go with him. In fact, he might not even know the 14 is going to leave him out to dry. The 88 had the run, but then Justin Levine got to the back of the 72, gave him a push just as Jorgensen was about to clear him, and now it's the 88 Chevrolet who drops back instead.
Yeah, very much so here, as this one's going to get a little busier as Tiller leads a charge up the outside with Brandon Cruz of Ice, Rodney Warford, and there in the middle, Brandon Shaberka. Back as round they go, and this all ends in tears once again as Paul Servant gets basically hoofed into the barriers.
And he's going to barrel roll down to turn number 1. And that is not a fun ride for the driver of the number 3 Chevrolet. Servant did all he could do, ride it on the inside of the racetrack, and tried to, not sure if he was trying to get up in front of Tiller. If he was, it was monumentally misjudged. Either that or he just pushed up, but it is an odd part of the racetrack to have push like that, and it was a difficult angle to see it as they came by the start-finish line, but all of a sudden, and the second looks give you a good look at it, that 3 gets hooked, and he goes up and over and lid first into the outside wall. Tiller's car gets jumped for a second time tonight in a unintentional, if you will, 2-3 wide scenario. And Paul Servant, luckily enough for the 3 team, still has an engine. So does Tiller. And you can see both of those heavily damaged cars pacing right now in 3 and 4 with all of the black smoke pouring out of them as they try to make it back to pit road to get a quick repair and not lose a lead lap. I think the 22 just blew up, but may be close enough to coast to the box.
Might be. It's going to be very close for that to happen, but so far this has not been one that's let us down in terms of action-packed racing, as I think he might just make this into his pit box. He's still moving, so every opportunity there. Hopefully will keep him in a good position for this race, not drop too many laps, but it's going to be a while for a lot of these guys till we get back into green flag conditions. We had to nearly halfway again in the next stint.
And the good news for the 22 is it's Talladega. Talladega is basically the same though, in the concept that pit speed 55 miles an hour. You can't speed on the pit road. You're going to get another penalty. So he was at 109, I think, when he actually lost the engine and dropped down to the pit lane, but he didn't have to slow down to 55. So taking advantage of a high pit road speed limit combined with the fact that he qualified a midfield, meaning that his pit box was a lot closer to the pit road entry, means that he was able to safely make it in. Drivers faking a pit road though: Preet, Cozy, Jorgensen, Altmans, Bonsevice, Berger, Chaburko, Pizzini, Watford. The top 10 all stay out as we close the towards the middle portion on segment number 3. Thought maybe some of those leaders were going to bite on that just based on the precedent that we had seen so far to this point, but all the race leaders electing not to come anywhere near the pits.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to, honestly, at this stage. They've all just come out of pit road, so tyres and fuel are pretty good. You don't want track position right now, because the further forward you are, the safer you are.
Since we did just cross the halfway point in this race not all that long ago, let's take this opportunity to take a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world, and in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned series by the likes of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, and more. It ends up being a lap number 49, but Spencer Preet is your race leader at the moment from Talladega in front of Justin Levine, who runs in second, and Michael Cozy Jr., who starts at 14th. All these drivers qualified into this All-Star based on provisionals. Mark Jorgensen Jr. runs just behind it at number 4 spot, with Jason Altman's inside of the top 5. Brandon Cruz Monsivais came close to an earlier Stage 1 win, wasn't able to lock it up, runs in P6. Andrew Berger is in 7th, with pole sitter Brandon Chaburko at 8th, Chris Passini is 9th, and Ronnie Wofford is 10th.
11th place tonight, Travis Brown with Tommy Hall behind him in 11th. Frank Vasily 3rd, down here in 13th place with Daniel Holloway. Shane McEachin, Seth DeMerchant, Harry Tiller back in 17th place after that one. Rod Flag, Jimmy Coleman, Paul Servant, last car on the lead lap in 20th with Andy Kessler 8 laps down off the racetrack. And Victor Bartlett out of the race 19 laps down in 22nd.
Look top to bottom at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com and sign up today. For a limited time, if you go to iRacing.com/World of Outlaws, you can take advantage of some exclusive promo codes and get yourself a 1-year iRacing membership for over 50% off the retail value. Or if you just want to give iRacing a try, you can go the 3-month membership route for less than $5. Again, those offers are valid on new iRacing memberships only, and you can find out more information at iRacing.com/World of Outlaws. Those offers are going to be available through the remainder of the 2017 calendar year. As we transition back to the action on track tonight, lights out on top of the iRacing.com official pace car. 50 laps on the night down, 30 laps on the night to go, but halfway in segment number 3, a 10-lap to go restart essentially due up.
Certainly will be, and it's going to be a great restart for this one as we get ready for, well, the last 30, as you say, Evan. So it's going to be a very close run to the end, but this thing's been absolutely wild. The race so far has been, if you like watching NASCAR for its crashes, you've had your fill of that tonight, guys, because this one has been wild. Cars are wicked loose, and it's definitely proving to be a handful for everyone here.
Looks like Shane McEachin's going to be able to catch up to the field just in time from 20th position to be able to work his way back up, group up. So we'll be double file, 10 rows deep for the restart. Everybody but Kessler and Bartlett going to be on the lead lap in this one. And, of course, with the unlimited resets, if you want to race it out, you can race it out. So basically everybody still here is on the lead lap. Kessler, Bartlett, the only 2 retirees in this race, as we noted. And that look at the iRacing Midway Race Break. Again, the Superspeedway Cup Series Championship continues next week. Race number 10 on the season, and the 4th to last race on the regular season. Most importantly, is right here on LSRTV at iRacing Live, October the 6th, with coverage beginning at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with our last trip to Daytona circa 07 before it opens up the final round of the playoffs. You can find out more information online at superspeedwaycup.com for more information about the run to the end of the season. And of course with us at LSRTV at livesimracing.com as well. Pace car going to make that drop. Spencer Preet's been having a pretty good night. Out of most drivers, I think we've seen almost everybody through the ringer once or twice. The 72 has not been able to be away from that entirely, but the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet has been in front a good share, and he wants to close out the segment with a shot at the All-Star win when we get to segment 4 just around the corner. But he's going to round out of the bend at the Tri-Oval and look for the green flag. 14 right there alongside as we go back underway. Even jump top and bottom.
Good restart there by our front 2 rows in this one, as it's going to be a slightly better run by Levine there in the 14 car. Slightly ahead as they head through turns 1 and 2 here. But the bottom comes back here. Spencer Preet gets a better run there, as does Cozy Jr. working his way up. And look at who's coming through with them. Jason Altman's in a 51 car, working his way forwards on that lower line. 24's with him, so is Chaburko, but right back behind him, it's a very indecisive Chris Bassini, who can't pick a lane.
Outside is still there, but 2 car lengths back, I think, is a more conventional restart, with the inside having the obvious advantage off of the line. If Cozy wants to, he could go bottom to top. The outside is wide open. He'd have a decent pusher with Justin Levine on the back end, but at least for the moment, the 2 rookies probably wanting to work together, have been racing with one another for quite some time on the iRacing service, and we've seen these 2 working before for years at LSRTV. No surprise that they're working together, and if you're rookies, I think you kind of rely on each other that much more.
Yeah, absolutely. The rookies kind of realize they're going to have to trust each other and work with each other to get any sort of certain friends here. As all round goes the 24, turned by the 88. Caution flag flies again.
And that's your segment 1 winner. So Berger, I think most importantly, needs to get back to the lead lap for the end of the segment. But you got a live look at that one, just not clear. As the 88 machine at Jorgensen made a transition, he was giving up on a 14. Levine was slow coming out of the quarter, just based on the fact that he didn't have any help up top. And the 88 wanted to jump ship, went down. He was not clear, and wrecks the 24.
Not an ideal situation, that one, but at the same time, it will still play out right now because we get that other caution again, and this kind of puts us all towards the end of segment number 3 now, coming ever closer.
The pace up to the pace car. I don't think there is an EOL penalty per se for the 88 machine, and if that is indeed the case, which I believe it will be, unless race control steps in for that one. I don't think it was anything malicious on the 88. Don't mistake it for that. I just think that it was a little bit of a gutsy move because he saw Chaburko coming. Chaburko was closing that gap in between he and Berger, and if there's anybody who you don't want to wait around on to close the gap, and you know, if he waits an extra second to be clear, Chaburko might be going 3 wide below the yellow line like he's already inexplicably done tonight, and then you find yourself with a big headache. So I think combination of those things, the 88 machine really wanted to get down and just misjudged it by that little bit, and it's a tough break for Berger because again, he did nothing wrong. He's just holding his line on the bottom and gets junked, and he should be okay for the end of this because he already has that segment win, and he should be able to cycle through to the race leader for the start of segment 4, assuming he can stay on the lead lap. That's the one kind of asterisk with the statistic on our stage winners is, again, the way it's going to work is at the end of this stage, at the end of segment number 3, we're going to get a caution with 20 laps to go. Pit road is going to open the next time by, but only for the stage winners. They can pit, they can stay out, whatever. They're the only ones that are allowed to pit. Then the next time by, everybody else is allowed to pit. So regardless if you pit, regardless if you stay out, those guys should cycle to the front. But if you're a lap down, Rachel, you're still going to be a lap down. You can get away by, but you're not going to be in the top 3. So that's the one asterisk. So if I'm that 24 and I get a restart with maybe 3-4 laps to go in this, I am staying way out back. So I'm on the lead lap and I can take advantage of my segment win.
Yeah, certainly, and segment win will put you in a great position for this one. So you might want to actually sit back. Yeah, that puts you in a great position for the final run. And people look at this a bit more seriously. These segment wins have been all about getting yourself in a place to win that 4th and final segment.
And it looks like Berger is going to be able to maintain his lead lap standing, which is, I think, the biggest thing for him. He's not the only driver on the pit lane. Jimmy Coleman also down there getting some repairs. Look like they're the only 2 down there for elongated repairs. Brandon Cruz Monsivice just now off of the pit lane. Show is Sada Bakichin. Tommy Ryan, Seth the Merchant may have been the other 2-3 drivers who did decide to come down to the pit lane and top off again, get tires. Tires has been something that, at least based on what we saw early with all the movement in the cars, Rachel, thought was going to be a more defining factor than it has been. And maybe the tires have been absolutely critical, but it's been very difficult to keep track of who's got the tires and where just because of all the yellow flags. It's kind of made it not as much at the forefront, if you will, of the strategy in this game as simply just trying to get damaged race cars fixed has been.
Yeah, fixing damaged race cars seems to have been the sport in this race. I think the teams have actually done more racing than some of these cars, but it's, I mean, look, people can often see these races as being a little bit crazy. There's no points on the line. It's just honor. It's just, you know, the bragging rights. Now, these guys are letting off some steam. Normally the races in this series are fantastic, Evan. I'm sure you'll agree with that. These guys are going wild here. They're going crazy. The cars are super loose from what we've seen, but they are racing hard, and they are racing for that glory. And that is all that's in their mind. You know, they know they've got cars to throw away. They know they've got unlimited backups, so they can do this. Makes the race a little bit longer, a little bit more kind of tactical, but at the same time, this is glory they're racing for. They have the entire rest of the regular season and the playoffs to do this hardcore and do this properly, and boy oh boy, every week do they do it well.
And I think that as well, in combination with the fact that we have unlimited resets, means that you don't really have to hang back. And it's the complex that we describe oftentimes as the lights go out on top of the pace car, is that if you're just wanting to ride around, if you're not going to win a stage, and you know you're not in a place to win a segment, then you can hang out right now in P5, and that should put you at worst P8 with 20 laps to go. You can win a race from 8th position with 20 laps to go. The problem is nobody wants to ride around. So if I'm, say, Frank Basilia or Brandon Chaburka right now in row 4, and kind of funny to use the 12 as the example for this because he'll be the one making it 3 wide, but if you're happy where you are and you don't want to go forward, you're not going to be 8th by the end of the segment. You are going to be back in 28th, and that's quite the accomplishment, considering there's only 22 cars on the lead, 22 cars in this race entirely. But the issue is, if you're not going forwards, Rachel, the guys behind you are. And the fact that you can get an unlimited reset means that you don't have to wait until 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go in the segment. You just continue to just simply go at it. So that's a big thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we've had an engine go for the leader, has had to tow his car. 28 McKeechan, actually wasn't the leader, but he has had to tow. He will go to the back of that one. Was leader at the time. I should apologise for that one, misinformation. Lanes are reforming as everyone's trying to work out where they're meant to be in this one, and I'm not going to reshuffle for that restart.
And just to clarify, the 28 was scored in the lead, but he was not your race leader. Accidentally got sent one too many times around the pace car, and as he was coming to pit road for that car, did cross the scoring loop as the leader, but the 72 of Spencer Preet has been in control of this thing the entire time. So that's why you saw that name pop up at the top of your screen, but at no point was he actually leading this race in the literal sense of against the other cars. The time and scoring will show him as a race leader as of lap number 55. Not going to cause any sort of headaches post-race review because, again, tonight no points on the line, so he doesn't take a bonus point away from anybody else, and that was the 28 machine going on by. But the 72 has been and is your control car, and the 77 of Michael Cozy is on the outside of the front row. Again, they want to work together, but as they go back underway, the 77 might be boxed out up top as here comes Oltmans.
Oltman's going to have a definite suck up here to the back of the Spencer Preet in the 72 car. That should give him a good advantage. Watch for him to pop out as expected there. He will try and ride this train to the front, get that elevator on the outside lane to help him as Chaburka bails down and is going to pull one of his classic thread the rule book moves, but apparently decides to hold it on the actual racetrack this time.
He's kind of got the whole lane to himself. There's nobody up top. There's nobody on the inside, obviously, as he runs the bottom. But look at the inside now. With a huge head of steam, all of a sudden, the wheels have fallen off of Cozy's car. He's going way back. The 14 of Levine, I don't think, can give him the support he needs all by himself. And now that on for Basilia, 4th in line on the bottom of the racetrack, at a step, they can dig in forward up to the outside, maybe thinking about it, but decides to go back down to the bottom. If you see the 94, the 88 jump up top, I promise you that outside's going to get a run. I think maybe the 94 wants to get the 88 with him. That would be a dynamic duo going topside, and they're considering it, and there goes Preet, half committed to the outside, and more big problems.
And the quarterback is toast. I think another half the field wrecked in that one as more chain reaction collisions behind your field means about, I think, maybe 14 cars got through that.
And we saw the 88 again as the one who turned him, but I'd be hard-pressed to blame that one on Jorgensen. I think that he and I could kind of see it building in 1 and 2, was trying to go to the outside. I think he was waiting to get a run off for the corner. and Preet just couldn't make up his mind. He wanted to go high, but I think maybe he was either second-guessing himself or made that move late, and the 88's already stepped up that entire lane. Then Spencer Preet wants to come up and get in on the action, and he basically turns himself across the nose of the 88. That 51 of Altman's also moved up a little bit to block, and it could have been kind of a little bit of both. The Preet, maybe he was not decided on what he wanted to do, kind of half and half, and then once he saw the car in front of him slide up to block, he said, okay, I have to go higher, I'm going to get boxed in, and then he basically turned himself over the nose of the 88.
Yeah, he did, and he's had a number of cars wrap themselves around him in so far in today's race, so he's going to be pretty used to seeing the right-hand side of cars up close and personal in this one, but he managed to make it through there with no real problems, so he should be fine in this, but it's starting to take its toll. He's definitely got some front-end damage. He'll probably want to come down pit road.
And this one might be a little bit more tight compared to the end of the most recent segment, because what I could foresee happening and what would be really strange, and I believe that Race Control's talking about it right now, so we'll try to get the official word, but I believe that the race is going to be scheduled to restart at the completion of lap number 60. And it would make no sense to restart the race, go 100 feet to the start-finish line, then the segment would end, and then you throw another caution. So I believe what's going to happen is the lights are going to go out on the pace car at lap 60, but we're going to extend the yellow, so this segment will end under caution. Race Control is just talking about the drivers confirming some of that information, but I believe that's how this is going to work, which is going to be tricky. Trying to organize the winners of the segments and such ability to come down to the pit lane and get that advantage we were talking about. So hold off on confirming anything and get Race Control trying to figure it out right now. They're chatting with the drivers on how they're going to work this out. The yellow at a tricky spot here towards the end of segment 3.
Certainly is, and well, if we're going to end this segment now, it will be Jason Altman's, we're thinking, with Basilia and Chaburka, so Jason Altman's will be put up there for the segment 3 winner, we believe, in this one.
If he's in front at lap 60, he's going to win the segment. Question is what we're going to do at the end of that, and he won segment number 2, so I said up to 3 drivers have an opportunity, to get the segment wins. Segment 1 winner earlier tonight, Andrew Berger. Segment 2 winner, Jason Altman's. And if Altman's takes the third one, it doesn't relegate back to the next closest driver. He wins both segments, and only 2 drivers are going to cycle to the front, which means that however this segment ends, unless, again, it gets funky, he decides to pit, and the 94 Basilia stays out or somebody else stays out, actually leads at lap number 60. And again, we're just kind of rolling on the fly, trying to figure out how it's actually going to end, because the light should go out the next time by, but that's one to go in the segment. But the 51 should, at least, unless he gives it up for all intent and purposes, win the segment. And he is going to be in the same boat as Berger. You don't get anything extra for winning 2 segments. You don't get anything if you would win all 3. They're going to be the drivers who cycle through to the front row. So it should be a 51-24 or the 24-51 front row. And I believe here's how it's going to work. This is the end of segment number 2. It's going to be called early. So pit road is open for our segment winner. So only the 51 and only the 24 can pit. So they are going to come down to the pit lane, I would expect. And looks like they are Berger is going to stay out in the number 24 machine, stay out on the racetrack. Now, everybody else is going to have to pit, but the next time by. So that means that the 24 of Berger is going to be in front of Altman's, and they will line up 24 in first, Altman's in the number 51 in second on the front row, and everybody else will be behind them. I don't know the order of everybody else, but all I can tell you is it will be our stage winners on the front row, and by the 24 staying out, he'll be on the inside of the front row in the control car. There'll be a test at the end if you're keeping up.
Yeah, there certainly will be a test at the end, and I am keeping up, but there's some maths going to be going on for this one, as those guys will get their free chance to go on pit road, and everybody else, it's going to be a wild one to the end.
Race Control reminding drivers that as they come down to the pit lane, they must take on fuel, rather, I should say, down on the pit lane, so they can't simply drive through the box, and that should ensure that Andrew Berger, who, again, is going to cycle to the front, despite the fact that he scored in 15th now, Maybe if he was 15th and he were first and just drove straight through pit road, I think you might be able to beat him off of the pit lane. They are required to take on fuel, so it is going to put Berger to the front and Oltmans to second. The only question that I have for the 24, I can understand wanting to be in front of your counterpart, Rachel, but I would have to think you don't want to pit in the final segment, and with that number 24 Berger staying out, can he make it to the end not pitting? I feel like you pit at 20, you should be good to go, but not sure what the call is going to be. He had pitted before the end of the segment, in fact. So that's going to be what happened here. Because of the way the segment ended, I just looked back to confirm, 1 lap before the segment ended, Berger did pit. Then this segment was ended and then Oltmans pitted. So the 24 short pit sim will be on the same strategy and will be in front. So I think that means they're both good on fuel.
They should be, and realistic, that'll make things a lot more interesting in this one, but that is if we don't have more cautions, which I think we're pretty much gonna.
Everybody forced to come down to the pit lane this time, the 94, the 12, and everybody, they must take at minimum fuel as they drive down to the pit lane. Light's going to go out on top of the pace car this time by, and we will see if the 24 does in fact cycle through. You see up there on the bank in the tri-oval, he is going to get back to the front of the field at a 51. Machine of Oltmans is going to follow him through. So your segment winners, segment 1, Andrew Berger, and segments 2 and 3, Jason Oltmans, are going to cycle through to the front. The race on the pit lane is going to be for 3rd position, and Basilia is going to lose some spots. It's going to be won by Seth the Merchant, followed by the 94 Basilia and Brandon Chaburko in 3rd. So those will be 3rd, 4th, and 5th, respectively, for the restart.
Yeah, they will, and that's going to make things a fun one for them, because these guys are all top-notch racists, so honestly, this will be a tight group of cars to pass.
The lights are out. It is going to be a 19 lap to go restart. Yes, it is technically segment number 4. At the same time, I think that because it is essentially the end of it, we don't really count in the regular season outside of the opening lap 1 through 50 stage, and we don't really say the end of the race is stage 2. Technically on paper it is, but to make it easy for you and to quit throwing out segment this and segment that, your segment winners are on the front row. That's taken care of. It is now a 19 lap to go race from Talladega for a checkered flag. I think that's the easiest way to break it down.
Certainly is, of course, and well, we're going to have to see how this one does play out, because I'm going to say at least 1 or 2 more cautions. I think that's a guarantee. At least 1, for sure. 2, I think, is the dismal part of me suggesting that might happen, but with how slick these cars have been and how much the aero push has been a huge factor because of how loose these cars are, I think it's inevitable.
His car is in this time. I say it every time we get late in this scenes, and it is true because, again, there are no more scheduled caution flags. The pessimist in me would agree that it's not going to be it, but this could be final restart on the evening as the pace car drops down to the inside, the 24 and the 51 on the front row. You worked all race, you made some strategy calls, you wrecked race cars, and you raced hard to get to this point. How much of an advantage is restarting on the front row going to be with still 19 laps left on the board? Can one of our segment winners get the job done, or does 3rd through 17th sneak up and play spoiler? That effort going to be spearheaded by Seth the Merchant, but here we come to 19 to go, and a 24 got out in front. Good.
We have indeed. 24 is going to have a good start for this one. Look at this on the outside, though. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, their lap back car's getting away from around, so they're back on the lead lap, just, but kind of a weird place to get to that.
They are on the lead lap. That move to the outside was not for position. They went from 1 lap down back to the lead lap, but a battle for the race leaders on with the 24, and Berger went up to block the 57 to the Merchant, did not want to commit to it, walked back down the racetrack, left the 57 up high. I think Seth the Merchant was home ready until the 51 of Oltmans left him, went back down, and the segment winners working together on the inside with the 57 and 94 up top. That 94 machine, I think, of Basilia is in a fantastic spot, and there's separation up front. We're not the top 20 cars with everybody packed in. You got that 57 to 94. Watch those guys lethal up top.
Certainly will do, of course. And one thing I really want to see in this is I think Brandon Chaburko could be a shoo-in for this win because he's aggressive enough to make it through a race that has apparently been all about aggression. And although this is about to be interesting because these two guys up front drafting are going to definitely provide suck-up to your leader. So this could really mean he's not quite as vulnerable as you might think he is as everyone sneaks around behind him. But it'll make passing him interesting for sure.
Oh, and the contact with the 12 sideways, hanging on as we go 4 wide. Probably not going to work very well. Somebody's got to back out of it. There's solid lanes packed at the bottom. It's Basilia and the 12 at Chaburko, third and fourth lines, and I think we made it.
We just about made it again.
Oh no, there they go. That's on me.
Yeah. Then you just cleared us from it. That's definitely Evan's fault there. He's the one that said, well, we made it through, and he jumped the
It
whole
was like
thing.
3 seconds too early. I committed to it too soon. I thought we had hung on to it. They cleared the 4 wide, but as it so often is in situations like that, it's when you try to rejoin traffic that things get dicey, and Brandon Chaburko already had fallen back. I think at that moment with the Donnie 4 machine was in 10th position and just decided that he couldn't fall 2 more positions back. Chopped off Harry Tiller. 22 machine can't be expected to break at a moment's notice, and they wrecked a couple of race cars.
Yeah, they did, and well, oh dear. It's been the front stretch has been an absolute demon in this race so far, Evan. We've had the vast majority of our cautions on that front straight. It's the low banking, and with these cars being so loose, not having quite as much banking to hold them in place, I think it's been a real problem.
That's going to bring more drivers down to the pit lane, and for them, now it's time to hit the panic button because you're going to be talking about restarting deep in the pack if you're even able to maintain lead lap status for the next restart. Again, unlimited quick fixes, you can get right back out there, but it's going to be difficult, I think, to win a race from 17th position with less than 15 laps to go as the 24 of Berger and the 50 of Altmans continue to run 1-2, just as they did for the restart a little bit over 3-4 laps ago. So we didn't get an opportunity to at the end of this segment as we were breaking everything down for you and talking about how those segment winners were going to get up to the front of the field. So now that we pace inside of the final 20 laps from Talladega, we'll take another quick opportunity, throw a yellow for ourselves, step away, and come back to Talladega in just a moment. You're watching the 2017 Superspeedway Cup Series All-Star from Talladega at LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
Back live from the Talladega Superspeedway. Lights have once again gone out on top of the iRacing.com pace cars. We welcome you back to LSRTV's coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series. Seeds to the 15 Championship. Tonight's All-Star Invitational continues deep into the night. And we're happy that you're sticking through with us at LSRTV at iRacing Live. Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford topside with you, along with Randy Chanda standing in for Cisco Scarbooza downstairs, bringing us to you tonight. And restart due up, 13 laps to go in tonight's event. Your segment winners on the front row, courtesy of the advantage of winning those segments, cycling through to the front for the last 20 laps in this one. The 24 to Berger, segment 1 winner on the inside. The 50 to Oltmans, segment 2 and 3 winner on the outside. Is 13 to go going to be the final one? Based on tonight, probably not, but we'll see how it races out with 18 cars on the lead lap. The 24 and the 51 again trying to defend those positions.
Yeah, they certainly are, and of course they'll be able to do just that, but you know, it's going to be difficult for them to see if this will play. Green flag will be back in the air for the final time, we maybe think. Good start by the inside line there with Berger, but on the outside, Oltmans will be coming back a little bit as Chaburko right back in the pack, takes you 3 wide immediately.
A little bit dicey. It's really the 12 up on that third lane all by himself. Not multiple lanes of that. Is up front, it's quite opposite. Single file, bad start for Oltmans. He falls all the way back to the nose of the 54. Sherman Savice is the guy who restarted behind him, but almost 3 cars clear to the inside. Rod Flag back up into the picture lane, and there's contact. 26 of Holloway tags the 51. Everybody saves it for now.
Just for now, but this could definitely get worse no matter what happens here. There is a lot of room for things to go very badly wrong. However, the outside lane is formed up rather well. We'll see if they can get themselves moving forward here. As a problem as someone goes a bit down the track there. I think that was...
and the 88's off. Jorgensen's in the grass. He's going to hang on. He got tagged after that 26 got sideways. Jorgensen went through the grass, and that's a veteran move for him to be able to hang on for it, not spin in the grass, and get right back up as we have a challenge for the race lead. Here comes Seth the Merchant. Went bottom to top. Is going to get a push from the 50 of Oltmans, and he is going to power to the race lead.
Big move there by Seth the Merchant, doing a great job with that one. Oltmans on the outside, though, feeling lonely after his friend just dropped him there, but not going to be able to find a way down. He'll have to work with the guys on the outside there. He's got the cars of Servant, he's got Monsavice, and he's got Levine there on the outside. They can definitely get back to the front, but it might take a lap or two at this rate.
Now the 24 wants to get right back up front. He's hoping that that 51 machine to feel some sort of incentive and responsibility to help out his fellow segment winner. And that 24 machine of Andrew Berger doesn't even miss a beat. DeMerchant didn't even get an opportunity to officially lead that lap. Now the 51, though, said, all right, 24, I gave you what you needed. Now it's my turn. And he'll cross him up and make a play for the race lead. Don't see that working, though, because now Monsavice pushing Berger should keep the 24 in front once more, and Andrew Berger proving to be a difficult customer to get by.
Always is, really, in these races, Evan. Andrew Berger's tough contender. Often overlooked a little bit, but always one that's definitely always had the speed.
But now Monsavice in a position to try to take this. The 3 of Paul Servant in line behind him, 4th position overall on the racetrack. This time by means 10 laps to go tonight from Talladega Superspeedway. Can the 3, can the 14 get something? Justin Levine may have been more consistently in the top 10 tonight than anybody else, but he hasn't been able to get up those extra 2-3 spots to get on the front row. We'll see if maybe his Ford Fusion has any late race tricks up his sleeves.
Certainly could, with the way this is going. There's definitely room for tricks in this race. What are the big names there? A bit further back right now. Chaburko and Jorgensen Jr. back in the 14th and 15th spots here in this race. They're hooked up, but there's a lot of traffic for them to cover, and there's not many laps to go.
2 cars in the inside and clear at the moment with the 24 and a 51 machine. The 57 is Seth the Merchant, 3rd in line on the bottom of the racetrack. Not as much help from behind, but at least trying to challenge, and he really wanted to get up in front of the 54, though Monsavice not letting that happen. I thought the 50 of Oltmans would have gone bottom to top. He stays low, and here comes the LSRTV Chevy of Monsavice once more, bringing it up on the outside of the racetrack. The 57 trying to force his way through. He'll just make a middle line. That works.
Certainly does. Middle line is always going to work in these races. As especially when Cozy Jr. is the one doing it, as they nearly got squeezed there by the 01, and Cozy Jr. moves up to the outside, really anticipating that one, gives them room they need to sort it out, and well, they're back in place for now, but up at the front is getting a little hairy as that clock winds down now.
And he's still by himself. There hasn't been somebody on his inside. Now, though, Flag is going to fill the gap, and the Merchant's going to have to be committed to this. And if he can get the 3 of Servant to go with him, it's all going to be good. Sideways is Rod Flag. 3 wide and now 4 wide, trying to hang on. Somehow still in one piece as we hit the back again.
Brandon Chaburko went hard into the back of the 01 as, he tips someone to the inside back there. I'll have to see who that was. They were 4 wide on the backstretch, but my gosh, the racing's getting hard now as people are having to make moves, and 14 goes up at the outside wall. Levine there, tipped by the 01. Travis Brown puts him up high. Spencer Preet was the one that got spun out there by Chaburko, but Chaburko ran into the back of the 01 of Brown really hard, and, well, his damage might stop him from going forward in this race. One car that is going forward, Jordan Jr., finding any gap he can find here, making anything work. He is working his way up here.
In a 26 machine, and there goes the 54. Monsivais sideways. He'll also hang on as they try to go 4 wide. You got cars dropping like flies left and right. So far up front, though, no caution since that restart. Still green at a challenge for the race lead. 2 versus 1. Altman's going to be left on the bottom. There goes Berger in the 57 and a Merchant topside.
Demerger looking for some way around this thing. He may go make this 3 wide with the 88, because I think those two will read this message and work together here. I think they're looking for an opportunity to get rid of Berger and go for the outside there. They're going to do this now. They're clear. Worst thing he could have done, he dropped down, and now he's put in a position where they can hold past those guys. And with likes of the 88 as the locomotive in this train, they're going to go somewhere.
The 54 machine trying to get it in spots, but again, he's got a big gap between he and the 51 machine. These guys right now don't have a big plan. Oftentimes we see late in these races, folks start to single file it out, find somebody to work with, and then get going. Not in this one. It's very discombobulated. Nobody really wanted to commit to stay with anyone, and I think that damage on Monsivais is really hurting him, basically taking his 54 Chevy out of contention. He's just too slow on the inside.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and look at this thing now. It's really filtering through. 88 has moved down. He's going to try and work on Altman's here, but the 57's staying up top, and he wants some help here, but he's not really want to go with him, so this bottom line's going to kind of haul past here. Caution will fly. This could be the race.
Travis Brown at lap number 75 spins at a turn number 4. The caution flag is going to be out in this, and he got turned by Brandon Chaburko back way off of the lead pack. We'll take a second look at this one. It ended up being for 13th position. 2 damaged cars, again, just trying to limp their way back home, and Travis Brown all by himself, not soliciting anybody, just holding the yellow line, and just gets turned.
Yeah, it's going to be that sort of race, hasn't it? But I think there's plenty of room for this one still to get better. I mean, we're going to have a short caution here, but this could mean we have essentially a green-white checker to the end, and that will make things incredible.
And there was an incident between these drivers a little bit earlier as well. Travis Brown tried to pick up, it looks like, the 14 of Justin Levine to draft with. I don't know if we can get a shot at this one. This was back down in 1 and 2 on the same lap. Chaburko didn't lift for him then either. That turned the 14, and then 12 didn't lift for him again at a turn number 4 and took the 01 out. So managed to get 2 in 1 lap.
Certainly did, and of course the play out of this one will be huge. This is going to be one amazing run. You don't want to take your eyes off the screen, guys. This is going to be an incredible end to this race.
And because of the shorter cautions under this All-Star format, we are going to have an opportunity to go back green flag racing. It should be, I think, based on where we sit now, I'm thinking a 2-lap to go shootout to the end. And we had this at the end of the opening segment and were able to make it more or less to the end of segment number 1. The problems didn't come until we were coming to the start-finish line. The way that it's going to be, and race control feeding us information now that says it's going to be a 1-lap shootout to the end. Either way, 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go. At the end of the race, you take the white flag, you race it out to the end regardless. That was the big thing to be noted in a couple of those short shoots to the end of the segments, which was not the case. That is absolutely the case, as it always is at the end of a race here, and I can promise you, without any overtime, without any green-white checkers, that this next one is going to be the final restart, and Andrew Berger and Jason Altman still running 1-2. That's impressed me, Rachel, because I thought with 19 to go, they wouldn't be able to defend that advantage. And you look back at the segment, sure, winning the segment, starting up front, is an advantage to some description. I think that I would much rather start first for the final segment than, as I said before, 21st or whatever. But to be honest, I didn't think they'd be able to do it for 19 laps. I didn't think that would be enough of an advantage, and I thought that 5 laps in, they just get cycled into the fray. So far, that has yet to happen. They still run Berger 1 and Altman's 2, and are proving me wrong.
They are, and there's definitely room for this one to happen. And of course, our 2 winners from the segments in a great position for this thing. This could really work out in their favor, but look at that car behind them right now. That 88, Jorgensen Jr. You can never count him out.
We're going to get a for sure answer on how many laps are going to be left in this race. So when the lights go out on top of the pace car, 80 laps is the distance. If the lights go out the next time by, it is going to be a 1 lap to go shootout, which I think, fully anticipate the case to be. And if that is how it works out, the lights will go out. We'll come around, take lap number 79, and we will go green with 2.66 miles left to go in this race. Couple of drivers getting waved by. Looks like the 01 machine of Travis Brown, the 72 of Spencer Preet, and the 12 of Brandon Chaburko, all going to work themselves back up to the front of the field. Just keeping an eye on Jason Altman's, who may have a late race issue in this one to take him out of it.
Yeah, he's had some sort of technical issue, we think, here, and he may not be in this one to the end, which would be heartbreak for him. He's had a great run so far, and to be out of this sort of situation is really... Oh, God, that's not great at all. This, of course, does put Jorgensen Jr. into a race-winning position.
And I feel bad for him because I was just talking about how good he's done in the last 15 laps or so to maintain that position, and it looks like that he may end up dropping out of this, Sid, which all of a sudden opens up a huge opportunity for Jorgensen. But I think benefits to Merchant, as you were saying, more, because he ends up on the inside of row 2 as opposed to the outside. If he can get a good jump, push the 24 clear of Jorgensen, it's all his to go high and lead that outside charge to the checkered flag. And if the 57 wins this thing, look back on Altman's dropping out. Lights on top of the pace car have gone out as well. So the next time by, 1 lap left to go tonight from Talladega. And we're going to race it out to the end. If we get to the line, doesn't matter how many cars are in one piece, it'll be first to the checkers to take it.
It's certainly been an incredible run for this N1 now, and Jorgensen Jr. is in the catbird seat for this on the outside there. And look at what he's got pushing him. He's got Tiller and he's got Wofford. He's also got Basilia and he's also got Rod Flag. That outside line is a massive threat. Huge threat on this restart.
And there's going to be 18 cars total on the lead lap. Travis Brown getting way by so he can join back up. He was 2 laps down originally, so when I saw him get waved back by that first time a lap ago, that was getting it back to 1 lap down. He is actually going to be back on the lead lap again, 18th position, not going to be able to do much. And I guess to a point, first doesn't have a huge meaning either, but again, especially because of this all-star format, nothing matters second on back, at least in the regular season. At the end of a stage, you know, 2nd through 10th, they get bonus points. At the end of the race, everybody besides the race winner, they also get points, and there's guaranteed to be 5-point transfers into the championship and onto the playoff grid. And this, none of that matters. And you could see the reckless abandon towards the end of the segments because only that pass to the front was given to the segment winners. You don't get locked into the All-Star race next year for a second. You don't get locked in for 3rd through 18th position. The only spot that is important is the first one across the start-finish line, and I can promise you they are going to give Andrew Berger hell for it.
Oh, certainly. And Andrew Burgess is in possibly the most terrifying spot here, leading this race and really having nowhere else to go. Unfortunately, it means he's going to be the guy who will probably lose out in this.
But here we go. If you get to the start-finish line, it's going to be guaranteed to race it out. Andrew Berger, Mark Jorgensen on the front row. Seth DeBurchett and Ronnie Wofford inside and out. At the second row with Randy Cruz-Montevich still damaged, trying to limp it home from fifth. Tightly packed together as we head to the Tri-Oval and look for the final time tonight. The American Ethanol green flag. 1 lap to go from Talladega, 2.66 miles to the checkers.
Big hit there by the 7 on the 88, giving a huge shove there as Tiller is going to drop down. I didn't expect that. I thought he'd sit up there and try and push these guys. He's got no option if he stays on the low side, so unusual decision by him, but Junior and Wofford may have to really work for this one.
The 57 is not going to get clear of the 88, so Jorgensen may be at a spot right now if he could get help from the 7 Wofford to chase down in 3 to 4 and get for the win. If he doesn't, though, can DeMerchant push clear in 3 and 4 and then try to make a move on his own? It looks like that's going to be what happens. The 88 can't stick with. The 57 is going to go high. They're going to come into turn number 4 one final time, looking for an all-star win. DeMerchant going to cross over to the inside of Andrew Berger. He's got the momentum. Here comes 3 wide, and it's going to be the 88 machine. Top side, Jorgensen steals it.
What an incredible finish to that race, Evan. Oh my gosh. Racing side by side, 3 wide there at the end, on the grass, in the wall, spinning round, and what a final lap. That was amazing. Here's a replay on board for the 88, and what a run.
And I thought it was the 57, and I thought he had it not only just because he had the run, but once he crossed over Berger, the 24 got snookered in that one. You can't chase somebody up. You gotta protect the bottom. And the 57 got inside of him, and I thought that was it. And even if they didn't make contact, all of a sudden, here comes Jorgensen in the 88 with a valiant push by that 7. Without Wofford, I don't think he would have gotten the job done. The 24 and the 57 end up wrecking anyways, but the 88 machine topside, I think, had the positioning to do it either way, and it comes from 3rd to 1st in the final 5 seconds to win the Season 15 All-Star.
Just amazing, Evan. What a great race we've just seen with this one. I'm so impressed with how these guys did in this. Incredible. DeMerchant here and the onboard, and this is about a show. This race is about a show, and these boys have put on a huge show for us tonight.
The 88 machine celebrating on the front straightaway. Jorgensen somehow continues to find ways to win races in this Superspeedway Cup Series, qualified into tonight's event based on 5 wins, including 1 past All-Star race victory. And he gets his 2nd on his career tonight from Talladega. I know it doesn't count technically to the career totals, but he continues to put up impressive numbers. Has been running good this season as well. Locked himself into the chase with a win just a couple of weeks ago from Daytona. And now he takes the checkered flag in the All-Star race in valiant and spectacular fashion, as they wanted it too bad on the inside. And again, 2nd, 3rd, none of that matters. So maybe you gotta wreck for it if that's your only shot at it. But Jorgensen was in the right place at the right time, and that 88 Chevy, Rachel, again continues to pull off the miraculous with another win on Friday nights.
Yeah, he always does this. This is Mark Jorgensen Jr. I'm sure we're going to get a chance to chat to him after this race. He'll be in absolutely high spirits as always, but this is the sort of thing we see with this series. This is the sort of thing these guys do, and it's the guys like Jorgensen Jr. who really bring passion to the racing every week.
The 88 celebrates on the front straightaway as we take an opportunity to step aside one final time. We'll come back to Talladega in just a moment to wrap things up from an unconventional night here in Lincoln, Alabama that ends in spectacular fashion. Mark Jorgensen Jr., his 2nd career Superspeedway Cup Series All-Star Race win tonight. We'll see if we can get a word with him post-race. You're watching LSRTV, your home for sim racing and to iRacing Live.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, three wide action on a turn two. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? It was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. My thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshield's at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Welcome back live to Talladega Superspeedway. A long night was rewarded with a thrilling one-lap dash to the end, where Mark Jorgensen Jr. took home a second-career Superspeedway Cup Series All-Star Invitational win. We'll go to victory lane chat with him in just a moment. First, let's take a look top to bottom at tonight's LSRTV full race results. Mark Jorgensen gets the win, followed by Harry Tiller, who comes home in second. Ronnie Watford with the third place. Andrew Berger spinning across the line fourth, with Michael Cozy in fifth. Paul Servant finishes up tonight P6 with Tommy Hall in seventh, Daniel Holloway coming home in eighth, Justin Levine at ninth, and Seth the Merchant rounds out your top 10.
11th place tonight is Brandon Chaburko. Travis Brown in the 12th spot with Rod Flag. Brendan Kuzman's last car in the lead lap in 14th place. Frank Masillo III is in 15th place with Jimmy Goldman, Spencer Preet, Jason Altmans, Chris Bassini, and Shane McKeeshan in 20th place with Andy Kessler and Victor Bartlett in 22nd.
Look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. We go trackside and chat with your race winner tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway. Second time on his career, Mark Jorgensen Jr. is a winner in the Superspeedway Cup Series All-Star. Mark, congratulations. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think you had that without 5 seconds to go.
Oh, no, I didn't think I had it either. Man, coming to that last restart, going through 1 and 2, I mean, I got through the gears pretty good, and I had Rodney, he was on my tail. So going through 1 and 2, I mean, me and Rodney was both pinching the inside car, so I thought I had something. But then coming out of turn 2, the guys on the bottom just started pulling away from me, and got down into turn 3. I mean, even Seth got out there, so I knew that I was probably going to finish about 3rd or 4th. And then, in the middle of 3 and 4, Rodney told me to back up to him, and man, that was the race winning move right there, man. I backed up to Rodney. We got a hell of a shove coming to the checkers, and I thought for sure that Andrew was going to come up and put a big block on me to kill that momentum. And man, I was shocked whenever I didn't see his car move up the track. But man, I stole this one, Evan. This is pretty cool.
I think it was too busy occupied with that 57 on the inside. They ended up taking each other out, and it was wide open racetrack for you. Tiller was right there on the bottom, though, wanted to give you a run for the money. Came home in second tonight, and I think you said at the end of it, he's tired of coming home second to you. You guys consistently find ways to get things done throughout this entire race, working through the segments and stuff. The big question I think we had was, is winning the segment going to be that much of an advantage? I didn't think it was going to be. 20 laps, I'm like, there's no way guys up front can hang on for 20 laps, and they did up until that final yellow. We had the 24 up there as well as the 50 with Jason Altmans. Altmans all of a sudden has an issue. You jump up to the outside of the front row, and effectively, you can forget about the earlier 79 laps. It all came down to the final, 2.66 miles in this thing, and we know that that's when you guys thrive, is under that spotlight late. But throughout this race as a whole, a lot of stopping and starting, but the segments racing through all of that, did you have fun?
Man, I always have fun, every Friday night. I mean, this is supposed to be the all-star race, our biggest race of the season, all the top guys from the league and a few others. And, I wish we had a lot more green flag racing, but, I'll be honest with you, whenever the race started, we saw that we had like 255 resets. So I knew once I saw that probably was going to be a caution fest. And it was, like I said, I still had fun. I was involved in some stuff. I probably caused a little bit of things myself, but I really wasn't that dominant. Last season, we had the stage or the segments or whatever in that all-star race, but I was able to get up front and stay up front. This race was a little bit different, and I don't know if it's because of the short 20-lap stages or whatever, but like you said, the previous 79 laps doesn't matter. It's all about that last 2.66 miles. This is awesome to steal this win from them guys.
I think we equated it at the start of the night to the likes of, the Draft Chart 300 and the Stars Fell on Alabama 250, some of the Crown Jewel events. It's always fun to win the All-Star. You don't get any extra points for it. You just get to kind of rub it in everybody else's face. And next year when you guys come around to it, you're going to qualify in, not because you're a past All-Star winner now, but because you got more than one All-Star win and kind of continue to add to that repertoire. But, we kind of look forward to the season. We get right back at it next week. The series heavy hits Friday after Friday after Friday, and we get right back into the thick of a championship battle next week, in which we haven't seen a repeat winner in the points races. Now, you break the overall streak because you're the first driver to take home 2 checkered flags on the season in general, but as you guys head back to it, you're already in the playoffs. You still got a couple of weeks. I know that you would love, though, to get some bonus points to start the playoffs with.
Oh, yeah. come next Friday, I can't even remember when our next off week is, but it ain't gonna be for a while, which I'm glad. I mean, I
I
cannot
think it's
stand.
the end of November.
Oh, that is awesome. I can't stand off weeks, but yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this. This race right here, we just get to kind of play around, with your buddies type deal, race real hard, which, there was a few instances, everybody was racing real hard and pretty clean. I thought it was pretty fun, but yeah, come next Friday, I mean, it's, you know, just got to keep on doing what I'm doing, finish these races, stay up front, try to win some stage points here and there. And, I mean, I'm locked into the playoffs, so, that's good. But, yeah, I'm just here to have fun, try to win as many races as possible, become the championship, man. That's what I got my eyes on. God, I hope I can do it.
And the season is going to continue in 1 week's time, but I'm sure we'll catch you then. But we talk to you so often. We get great looks at all of these different cars that you got. Tonight it's a Mountain Dew Chevrolet in Victory Lane. We'll let you get out of here, but as always, who you want to thank for it?
First and foremost, Rye Flag for putting this on. I know I got pretty mouthy there in game. We're all just so competitive. I didn't want to get DQ'd for having a black flag. We got these we're doing this single file restart deal. I guess it kind of speeds up the cautions. Well, in doing that, if you get a pretty good restart on the outside and you end up passing somebody, you get a black flag. So I was kind of lippy about that. Kind of wish it got a little bit cleared sooner than what it did. But again, just a huge shout out to him for putting this on week in and week out. LSRTV for the broadcast. I love you, Evan. You're awesome, man. God dang, I love talking to each and every one of y'all. But yeah, Ant, Mountain Dew, they come on board this week. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2009 fall Talladega car. I thought it looked pretty good out there. Courtesy of Jordan Worth, he painted it, put it on Trading Paint. So shout out to Jordan for it. Man, my big old size 14 heavy right foot, keeping that gas pedal pressed down all race long except for under caution. And then just a huge shout out to all my fans watching. Love each and every one of y'all. And last but not least, my cousin Michael grab him and his son Paxton, watching the race. I know as soon as I took the checker flag, my cousin, was blowing my phone up, telling me congrats, this, that, and the other. So, that's pretty cool that, he's watching and, kind of sees what I do each and every Friday night and have a good time with it. But other than that, man, I'm just ready to get to the next race. I can't wait.
I was just about to say, the fans were rooting for you late. It's always a fun evening when the 88 ends up at Victory Lane, both for them and for us down here in Victory Lane. Mark, congratulations on the win once more. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Keep getting the job done, and we'll keep chatting with you. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you, Evan.
The race winner tonight from Talladega Superspeedway, the 88 machine with his second career Superspeedway Cup Series All-Star win tonight, coming out on top of the pile when it's all said and done. There were two other drivers, though, right in that fight late. Harry Tiller comes home in second, and Ronnie Wofford comes home in third. Trackside with both of them is Rachel Whiteford, beginning with the driver of the 22 machine.
I'm Evan, thank you very much. Harry Tiller coming home today in second place. And I quote, "I'm sick of coming home second to Marge Augustin Jr." Harry, that was a hairy race, if you pardon the pun, which wasn't intended, but that thing was just crazy. You managed to come home second place.
Oh, yeah. I think I got involved in everything in that race, apart from in the last stage. I can't really remember that race much. All I remember is that last lap, just coming through 3 and 4, thinking, oh yeah, I've got a shot here because I think they're gonna wreck. And the seas parted for me again, like they did. I think it was Dega a couple of weeks ago, and just came short and finished second to Mark again. Brilliant.
No, still a very good run. Who makes it work for you guys on the 22?
Well, I'd just like to say thanks to Rod for putting the league on. Like Mark said, it's difficult for him, especially with the way they set this race out, the single file restarts. But he did his best, I suppose. And I'd like to thank Chubbs and Jay Riot or Jason Altmans for not wrecking me in the race for running their paint scheme. But that was just a little thing I thought I'd do in respect to those guys. And just thanks to my mum for staying up and watching. And yeah, I won't be here next week. I might get in and do one lap just to get my get the last place points, but I won't be racing properly because I'm away in Wales, I think. So a week off for me.
Hopefully you have some fun in Wales. And, well, sorry for Matt Dalton.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'll be near him.
Well, thanks for joining us, Harry Tiller, coming home today in second place. Also got a chance to catch up as well with Rodney Warford. Rodney, that was a busy race. I just said the same thing to Harry Tiller, but the All-Star race was all out for bravery and for glory, and you managed to get a good result in the end.
Yeah, it definitely was. It had its ups and downs, mainly downs for me throughout the race, but we did well there at the end. Got P3. We wanted to win. Did not want to see that caution that we had there. I was up on that wheel grinning, just wanting to get a bite to the outside before that last caution and make a move and try to get this win. I never got this win, always get caught up and stuff, but I mean, it's an all-star race. We're running hard. We're beating and banging. We're doing everything we can, and it just doesn't work out in my favor most of the time, but hey, I got third, and I'm happy with that.
Good result in certain, of course, and the 7 team and the rest of your guys. Who makes it work for all of you?
I got to thank you guys first and foremost. Last week we got the win, and we had problems, didn't get to chat. But I got to thank Chris Bassini for the amazing paint jobs he does. Throws together some great race fan racing machines and some Pinzel machines. Got to thank Rod for hosting and always doing the league, man. It's awesome. It's best Friday night you can have besides a few other things. And everybody watching, thank you guys. Thank you guys first and foremost. You guys keep everything alive here. And, shout out to all my relatives watching and friends. Love you guys.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us. Rodney Wofford there, coming home in third place in number 7.
And that's the thoughts from your top 3 finishers tonight from Talladega. The All-Star is always an unpredictable night. It could go one of many ways tonight. More yellows than I think we and again the drivers would have liked. But again, at the end of the day, you get that nice clip of that 1 lap to go shootout, that 3 wide coming out of turn number 4, and the signature Mark Jorgensen victory lane celebration and interview. Classic night, and the 88 machine gets the job done, and we kind of go from the laid-back atmosphere of tonight's bragging rights invitational right back into the thick of things at 1 week's time, where we still sit with on the 9 points races. I should specify 9 different drivers have won all those points events, and the championship, Rachel, starting to be as of next week. In fact, is only going to be a month away. So if you haven't been with us all season long, Friday nights at LSRTV are the place to be. And Talladega 07 in particular is a very exciting racetrack. And that's where we'll be in 1 week's time.
Oh, we certainly will be, and it's going to be incredible. Back to the regular season and the regular points race for this incredible season.
If you want to catch up with LSRTV at iRacing Live, we are not quite done this week. We'll have action tomorrow night. In fact, right here at Talladega, beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time with the running of the 2001 Alabama 500. And if you don't know what the event's about, it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be drivers in the old NASCAR Cup cars, the K&N cars here at Talladega. Everybody's going to be running a replica paint scheme of somebody from the 2001 season. I love the concept. It's going to be here on LSRTV at iRacing Live, and you absolutely do not want to miss that one. And of course, all of our series in action again next week. You can get a complete look at our upcoming broadcast schedule by going to our website at www.livesimracing.com, and also by keeping up to date with us on social media, on Twitter at LSRTV, and on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official. Until next time, on behalf of the entire team at Live Sim Racing LLC, for the folks behind the scenes, Laura Lawson, DJ Lyon, everybody who makes it happen topside night in and night out, and of course for the team tonight. For myself, Evan Pasoko, for Rachel Whiteford, and a big thanks to Randy Cheneth for stepping in and streaming for us this evening. I want to thank you for joining us and congratulate Mark Jorgensen Jr. He's a 2-time All-Star winner, but he looks to become a 2-time winner this season when we return next Friday night from Daytona. That race and every race of the Superspeedway Cup Series can be found right here all season long on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Until next time, good night.